Live. It's John Trent here with Bounty into Comics. Joining me is Jorge Arenas and Drew. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about Spider-Man and the MCU. Let's just kind of wait to see if we get some folks to join us real quick. Let's share it out here on YouTube, on the Twitter. So, I mean, that this story blew up yesterday. What were you guys thinking when you saw the story?
I'm not gonna lie, it blew me away too because I didn't expect it. I didn't even realize that Sony and Marvel were in negotiations, back to negotiation table with Spider-Man. I assumed that the contract had one more movie in it. I don't know why I thought that, but it shocked the crap out of me.
Yeah, I was wow. I was just seriously, I was kind of shell shocked by it because I'm like, well, what the hell are they going to do with Spider-Man now?
They're going to bring back Sam Raimi. That's what they're going to do.
I mean, Sam Raimi, the Raimi movies were good, dude, but oh god, did I hate the Tobey Maguire casting.
Really?
Yeah,
I was a fan of it.
I was never a Tobey Maguire guy.
Except when he was emo Spider-Man. That was weird. Emo Parker, that was a really weird set of scenes. But yeah, when I saw that news about Spider-Man being divorced from the MCU, it really shocked me a lot. And what shocked me more is that Marvel thought that Sony wouldn't just walk from the table. I mean, I don't know who's doing the negotiations there, but they held a lot of the cards.
So, I think if I remember correctly, I read we did a story, I don't know, it was maybe a month or two ago, and they were talking about Tom Holland's contract and how it was 5 movies. So I kind of knew that the Spider-Man thing was coming up after Far From Home, but then I was seeing other reports where they had Holland still had a couple Spider-Man movies in the bag, but it wasn't sure if they were MCU or Sony and how that worked. Because I know the most recent thing I had read before that big deadline report broke last night was that he was locked into a 5 picture contract, and 3 of those were Infinity War, Endgame, and Civil War, and then obviously you had the 2 solo. Well, I guess Homecoming was kind of a solo. And then, just Far From Home.
I didn't realize that the cameos on the other 3 movies counted towards that contract, but I guess we should have known better.
Yeah, I think so. So let me see if I can. I'm pretty sure that might have been in that Richard Rushfeld article that we did, where he was talking about if Holland, if the Far From Home didn't make $1 billion, it would be canceled, or Spider-Man would go back to Sony completely. I think that was his report back in July, right after Far From Home came out. I think that was
that's a pretty tall order even for Spider-Man, that $1 billion.
Yeah, here it is right here. Holland told the Hollywood Reporter, let me get the date on this, back in November 9, 2016, Holland revealed how many movies Marvel had signed him for. So here's the quote. Holland said, "I do know I have 3 Spider-Man appearances in other movies and 3 solo movies contracted." So we already had done the 3 appearances in Civil War, and the 2 Infinity War and Endgame, and then he did the 2 solo ones in Homecoming and Far From Home. So that means he would have at least 1 solo movie more coming up, and that's straight from Holland, from him. Whereas this deadline report said that there were 2 Spider-Man solo movies still on board, which that was kind of news to me. But yeah, I thought there might have been another solo Spider-Man for MCU, but I mean, given this report, it seems like, I mean, it's donezo. And then, so let's get to this what this Sony guy said is just like some they doesn't get a name. It's just a Sony spokesperson, and they spoke exclusively to the Hollywood Reporter. So this is what they said here. Let me see if I can screen share real quick so y'all can follow along.
I have it on my end.
Well, want everyone else to follow along too.
Oh.
Okay. Share. All right. So y'all can see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
This is what he says. He says, much of today's news about Spider-Man has mischaracterized recent discussions about Kevin Feige's involvement in the franchise. We are disappointed but respect Disney's decision not to have him continue as a lead producer of our next live-action Spider-Man film. And then he kind of like goes on to blame Kevin Feige has too much to do. That's why he can't do Spider-Man. The spokesperson says, we hope this might change in the future, but understand that the many new responsibilities that Disney has given him, including all their newly added Marvel properties, i.e. X-Men and Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, Doctor Doom, etc., do not allow time for him to work on IP they do not own. Kevin is terrific, and we are grateful for his help and guidance and appreciate the path he has helped put us on, which we will continue. So that's what Sony told the Hollywood Reporter.
That's a really polite way of saying F you.
I mean, they're just like, oh, you have too much work to do, except, you like had all these other characters that you were working on anyways. And you had like tons of like obscure characters like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Eternals that you were working on. But I mean, you just got like even more characters, and you just don't have enough time to do that. I mean, except you had time to do these other movies.
Yeah, I feel like they were just like very subtly saying, yeah.
Well, and it's
giving them the finger.
That's some subtle shade right there that they're throwing at. I mean, whoever put that together, I want to clap to them because that was really nice. But what I want to know is now, what do y'all think about Spider-Man's future in general?
Well, hold on. I want to just kind of like go back to that statement, and it's almost like that. It's only Kevin Feige was dealing with Spider-Man, but I mean, you had tons of people at Marvel Studios and Sony like working on like Spider-Man. You had the Russo brothers like that directed the Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. You had the writers; their name are escaping me, that were worked on all of those. You had the people that were working on the solo Spider-Man films. I'm sure you had other people working on like kind of like already like throwing out plots on like what they could do in the future and like other movies that he might appear in, or like how you would use Spider-Man in the future. I mean, and you had all like artists and all, like it was like tons of people working on it. It wasn't just Kevin Feige. So that's just like I just want to make that's just a complete cop out.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting, since they singled out Kevin, right? Could that mean possibly that they wanted to put pressure specifically on him because he there's something in negotiations with Kevin that he wasn't wanting to move on, so they want to kind of throw a shade towards him specifically compared to everyone else?
I actually think you're onto something there. So if you the original Deadline report that broke this whole thing wide open said that Disney, Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, Alan Horn were asking for a 50-50 co-finance deal with Sony, and Deadline was reporting that the kind of like current deal was Disney got like 5% of first dollar box office take. So that's a huge difference. The Hollywood Reporter said that Disney was asking for 30%, but like Sony said no to that. So that might be like Sony might be definitely be throwing shade, being like, hey, you're asking for so much, like we're gonna like fire back at you. And they might have also seen that, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the original story seemed like it was in favor of I think the original Deadline story was kind of in favor of Sony because the way it was written, they were kind of like Disney's asking for a lot here.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, that's a pretty big change in the contract to begin with. I mean, 5% to 30% is not small potatoes, especially when you look at box office returns and receipts. You're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars, possibly in change of revenue from one studio to another. So I understand why you're going back, right? So maybe, you know, Disney wanted to try to flex their muscle a little too hard, and Sony wasn't having anything to do with that.
No, that's one thing Disney does. They always overreach, and they always flex, and they always do. They do it at the worst possible time, and they did it at the worst possible time here because they overestimated basically the fact that, you know, we're Disney, therefore, you know, they're going to stay in this deal. Sony's never going to walk away.
Do you guys think? I was gonna say, do you guys think maybe Venom and its performance in the box office probably made Sony more confident that they could hold their own with their own Spider-Man verse?
Well, see, this is my theory, and this is what I'm thinking, George, because you brought up another good point with the Venom stuff, and I think they're gonna do the whole Venom Carnage, build up the kind of the symbiote versus Spider-Man verse, and sort of do that sort of self-contained thing mixed in between the two IPs, and that'll be like their little mini Spider-Verse. But
and they have I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but Sony does own the Spider-Verse element of Marvel. So if they wanted to pull in Madam Web, if they wanted to pull in Kraven, if they wanted to pull in some of the other villains, right, they would be able to do that with ease. So they have a pretty good deck of cards that they can play with now, that especially with Tom Holland so established as Spider-Man, to be able to do that compared to Marvel where they're at now.
Yeah,
I heard Tom Holland's out though, isn't he?
No, I haven't heard that. The Deadline report said there were 2 more movies with Tom Holland and director John Watts. Holland, from his mouth, said he had 3 movies. 3 solo movies. He's done 2, so I think he's still contracted for 1. It might be optional. I've seen a lot of memes saying, like, I think that's just like fan reaction, thinking that because he's out of the MCU, he's out of Spider-Man. I mean, Sony might reboot Spider-Man to like have a Venom crossover into the Spider-Verse.
But is that necessary though? I mean, would they, if they wanted to go that direction? I don't necessarily believe they would even have to.
Yeah, I don't think they need to. I mean, I don't really care for the Tom Holland take that MCU's done with Spider-Man. So, I mean, maybe Sony wants to make it introduce like a more adult version of Spider-Man, which we've seen in the comics. He's been married to Mary Jane Watson. He's owned his own Parker Industries. I mean, so there is that adult version of Spider-Man that has never really been seen on the big screen that they could go with. So there is the possibility of doing that if they want to. I don't see that. I don't see the necessity of doing that either. But I do want to. I like what you were saying about Venom. That movie made 800 and I think it's 856 million. I want to say around there, and globally, the first Spider-Man Homecoming only made 880 million. I mean, that's pretty comparable. That's what, $30 million. It's not that. I mean, it's a lot, obviously, but between movies, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, guy from Red Bank says the Tom Holland take is Miles Morales Spider-Man. Yeah, I think you're pretty much on point with that. I mean, the whole MCU is basically the ultimate from the
Marvel Ultimates. Yeah. Well, definitely, I completely agree. Especially, I mean, our first hint was Nick Fury, but going back to what you were saying about the gross receipts and everything, we already know that Tom Hardy is going to reprise his roles with Venom again. So they already had a lot of the background stuff lined up, their chips. So they had a stronger negotiating position, and I believe that Kevin may have overextended what their hand was with Disney, especially since Disney, I believe, probably got cocky because they own so much of the MCU. Well, the Marvel catalog now with their acquisition of 20th Century Fox. So maybe they got a little too cocky for their britches, but it is what it is. But I will say I have to agree with you too about Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm not the biggest fan of it. but if we're not careful, we might get 14-year-olds with pitchforks and torches coming after us. So we got to calm that down a bit, guys.
Yeah. But so I also want to it's not just Venom. I mean, Sony has always been successful with the Spider-Man movies at the box office. Amazing Spider-Man made like 735 million. I haven't checked up on the second one, but I'm sure it's probably pretty good. I mean, the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire was over 800 million, and that was back in 2002.
Exactly.
I mean, that was a ton of money in 2002.
And that's when comic book movies weren't a huge thing. These were low to medium budget films like Brigade and Spawn. So again, Sony has an established history of being able to produce these IPs, especially with Spider-Man, and make a killing without a partnership with Marvel. So again, I think they had the stronger hand. They knew it and they played it. Yeah,
I mean, and I wrote today in my Sony response article that we haven't even in this Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, they haven't even used some of the top Spider-Man characters. We haven't seen Green Goblin, we haven't seen Doc Ock, we haven't seen Kraven the Hunter.
I mean, for Black Cat, for God's sake.
Yeah, we haven't seen Black Cat. We haven't seen Mary Jane Watson.
Oh, we had very, very crappy hints.
Well, no, you have
Watson.
Go ahead. That one chick that is supposedly
MJ. Zendaya plays this character named MJ, but no, she's not Mary Jane Watson. We haven't seen the iconic Spider-Man characters are not in the yes, we got Mysterio. But I mean, and Vulture, and then they had two Shockers in Homecoming. But we haven't seen Doc Ock Doc Ock is we haven't seen him. We haven't seen Kraven the Hunter. We haven't seen Green Goblin. We haven't seen Hobgoblin. Those are the big
or even the Kingpin, technically, right?
Well, yeah, Kingpin is a huge Spider-Man villain. In the comics, he definitely is, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I would assume that Sony doesn't have the license to Kingpin, given the fact that he was in the Daredevil Netflix show.
Well, that's a good point. I forgot who produced the Daredevil movies, but it's probably going to be the studio that Marvel owns now. But you're absolutely right, John, and that's one of the things that has been disappointed about Spider-Man is the lack of supporting characters. That, in my view, as someone who's read the comics and enjoyed the lore, really makes Peter Parker who he is. These characters are the reason why he is the way he is. And the MCU version of Spider-Man currently, they really haven't touched upon it. And I understand that a lot of the movies that Spider-Man's been involved in, he has a bunch of other supporting characters around them, the Avengers and whatnot. But with his solo films, you really haven't seen that at all.
Yeah, and I mean, you had Vulture in the Homecoming, but Mysterio was kind of I don't know. I want to see more Spider-Man in New York. I don't. Far From Home to me was just so much like Iron Man Jr. The whole movie was a ripoff of the first Iron Man. Mysterio was literally Ironmonger with a different skin.
And that was very choice of villain, right? I mean, for me at least, I was we all know if you know Spider-Man, you know he's not your friend. It's just
yeah, I mean, well, they made him a disgruntled Stark employee. I mean, Ironmonger was also a disgruntled Stark employee. He uses illusions to manipulate the lead character. So Ironmonger manipulates Tony, thinking that he makes Tony think the bad guys are the Ten Rings terrorist group. And actually hires a hit to kill them. Mysterio makes Spider-Man think these elementals are the bad guys.
That's the frustrating
and then tries to kill him.
Well, that's the frustrating thing about some of the solo films with the MCUs. They borrow so many of the plot elements from other movies. They're not taking a risk. Risks that are not even great risks because these are established plot vehicles that have been used in older movies that work. Right, we don't need a remake of Iron Man 1 or 2 when it comes to these characters, but that's kind of what we're seeing, especially with Spider-Man. I mean, and there's just so much potential there. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, there's so many good Spider-Man stories you could tell. You don't need to copy an Iron Man movie that was made just over a decade ago. It's just ridiculous.
And I like the Iron Man movie. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
yeah, I love that first
Yeah.
Iron Man movie.
Yeah, that first Iron Man movie was great.
It was
Yeah.
solid. That was a great Paramount picture, by the way. But
Yeah, that was before Marvel Studios was Disney.
yeah,
I agree with you guys though. Like, man, something was missing in the representation of Spider-Man in the MCU. I just wasn't feeling it.
He was great in Civil War. That cameo he had in Civil War was great.
Civil War, yeah. And then after that, it was just disappointing. I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the I just want to keep going back to like the Tobey Maguire movies and even the Andrew Garfield. Like there's the scenes where he's like webbing like common criminals or like robbers and stuff. Like where is that? That like doesn't exist in this MCU version of Spider-Man. Really,
we kind of saw it in Homecoming, kind
Little-
of, but it was
Yeah, a
very,
little bit.
it was a little bit. And no, you're absolutely right. It's like playing freaking Skyrim. You know, you want to be able to do those off the wall, you know, side things, and that's what makes Spider-Man great. Is that he's known by the New York PD, right, as the guy who just leaves a bunch of webbed criminals for them, and that's been always a charming part of his character. Compared to some of the other, you know, I wouldn't say higher level, but the more well-known characters who are too good for that. They're fighting intergalactic threats. But Spider-Man is your friendly neighborhood spider. It's the guy, you know, if he's in your neighborhood, he's gonna stop the burglar in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and he's gonna do it with some funny quips as he's kicking him in the face.
But the other thing that bugged me though about that was the fact that, you know, God, I've been reading Spider-Man since I was a kid. Okay, and one of the things that I mean, Peter was like had a genius level intellect. He was a great scientist in his own right. You know, and the way that they had like Spider-Man kind of so dependent on Stark, it just bugged the hell out of me, because it's like, you know, Peter comes up with breakthroughs. You know, Peter's had patents for stuff himself. I mean, give the kid credit, man.
Well, they did that honestly because they didn't want to use the Uncle Ben angle. So they needed a father figure for Spider-Man, which of course ended up being Iron Man. And I think they just didn't want to revisit Uncle Ben because that poor guy's died so many times. At this point, he just wants to rest. I completely get it. But
I'd rather have Uncle Ben than Iron Man Jr. I'm totally with Drew on this one.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying what their mindset probably was. They didn't want to revisit it, so they decided to imprint Tony where Ben was. And
I think it was more marketing. I think it was more of like using Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man to carry the film. And then but like even in Far From Home, Peter designs his new Spider-Man suit, but it's all using Stark tech.
Yeah.
It's nothing that he's like done. He's not actually like, I mean, he's using like a Stark tech 3D printer to make a suit in like 5 minutes. That he like does his designs on. But yeah, I don't know. I like the Garfield films, and I like the Tobey Maguire films, and they're like building their own suits and stuff. Like I like seeing that stuff. I like seeing Peter doing that stuff because it shows his like ingenuity, his innovation, and like his kind of just overall creativity, and just like, I don't know. I think those are fun moments that those don't get old to me.
Well, if you go back to original, the way Spider-Man was written in the lore from the comic books, you know, Peter made his own web shooters. He designed those. Yeah, there was no Stark tech about it. He made those web shooters, baby.
And he designed specific webbing capsules for different situations. He had like a utility belt where, you know, each of the webbing capsules had a specific job, which was pretty cool.
Exactly. He had his own utility belt like Batman. And I mean, Spider-Man's suit didn't have a bunch of electronics in it, man. He had gadgets.
Yeah, little gadgets. I mean, he wasn't Iron Spider completely.
All right, so there's been some other news this week. A lot of like casting news for movies and TV shows.
Hold your breath, everyone.
Oh yeah, so I know Jorge wants to talk about Mortal Kombat.
I want to talk about it because I hate myself so much. I can't help it. But
So,
yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
John.
so what happened with the Mortal Kombat casting news this week?
All right, so we got some news about the upcoming Mortal Kombat reboot. We know who our Molina's going to be and who our Raiden's going to be, and they're quite interesting to say.
And there were some other casts. We got Jax too, right?
Yeah, we got Jax as well. But that Jax was not very surprising. The one that was very surprising was Molina by far because they race swapped her.
And we got Liu Kang too. Ludi Lin is playing Liu. So do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to read them off? Who do we got playing who?
All right, so for Molina, we have Sissy Stringer, who will be playing the clone of Kitana, which is interesting because if she's going to be playing Molina, logic dictates that she's very likely to play Kitana in the movie as well because they're essentially the same character, just one has a really bad overbite versus the other one. And it's interesting because in the video games, even in the animated series and the old TNT show and the original movies, Katana's always been an Asian woman. And in this case,
oh God, remember when what's her name played her in the
which
movie?
one?
Talisa Soto, was it?
Yes, I remember that. I remember that. But yeah, she's going to be playing Katana. And that's, to me, really radical change in the character and where they're going. And then you ended up having Raiden, who's going to be portrayed by Tadanobu Aso. Oh, shoot. I'm doing it. I am
Sano, right?
Yeah. He's a Japanese actor, and a lot of people should recognize him because he's played in he was in multiple Thor films. He plays
Hogan.
And honestly, that casting wasn't so terrible in my view, especially since Raiden, the name Raiden actually is an offshoot of the Japanese Shinto thunder god. So
named Raiden.
Raiden, right? Yes. So that makes a lot of sense, but Molina did not at all. And again, it's unfortunate because I want to know what the reasoning is behind it because it seems that the attack on the Gingers is over and now they're checking out the Asians.
Well, I do want to go back to the Raiden thing because when we wrote that story, we got a lot of criticism on that because people
were salty.
Yeah, we got a lot of criticism because of the people were saying that like, oh, he's based off of the Japanese thunder god. It's not a race swap. Well, I mean, yeah, the character's name is based off of that, but I mean, to me, he's always been depicted as kind of white in the games, despite having like the big hat and the martial arts clothes.
Well, I mean, he's supposed to be.
And then Christopher Lambert played him in the movie.
Yeah.
So y'all don't know who Christopher Lambert is, you're missing out. He's an amazing French actor, but I agree with you, John.
He played Highlander. So yeah.
But the thing about this is that
Duncan McLeod was better.
What?
Duncan McLeod was better.
Oh, shut up. But
there can be only one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fight after this. But my big thing is that Raiden's always been portrayed one way for the last 20 years because there's been multiple TV shows, even low budget shows for Mortal Kombat. I remember one back in the mid 90s to early 2000s on TNT, right?
Yeah.
So again, I know some people were upset about the way we've reported it, but it's the truth, right? The show is called Mortal Kombat Conquest. There we go. Wow, that's that long?
God, that was so short-lived of a show.
Yeah. Hey, I remember because I was one of those people that I was super stoked to see a live-action Mortal Kombat. I was willing to ignore some other things. And this Raiden was played by Jeffrey Meek. So again, Jeffrey Meek, right? So you went from Christopher Lambert to Jeffrey Meek playing Raiden. Now you have you have, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce his name properly. Asano. You have
Asano.
Asano now playing him. So you do have a. I know some people are going to be like, well, it's not really a swap. It is, guys. It is. Not saying it's good or bad. You can have your own opinion on it. That's fine. But it is what it is. But again, I'm going to point back to Molina because you can't really debate that.
So the actress playing Molina is Sissy Stringer, and Molina is the clone of Katana.
Yep.
But she's like, it's kind of weird how they clone her though. They take her and put her. It's like she's in like some other. It's like another person's body, like an alien race's body, though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Kind of reminds me of how they made Alita in the mangas. She was created out of someone's tumor. But that goes way back. But no, I agree. She's not like a perfect clone, like a test tube baby or anything like that. But she essentially has the genetic material of Katana.
Right. So they could, yeah. I mean, I guess that's maybe how they could explain it in a plot sense.
If they have a different character playing Katana, a different person playing Katana. But I strongly believe she's going to end up playing both roles. It'd be cheaper than honestly, and you know how it is. They need to make sure their costs are under control, especially if they're rebooting a movie franchise that has been dormant for over 20 years.
Yeah, so Guy from Red Bank is confused about how they made Molina. So from what I understand from Mortal Kombat lore, Molina is the clone of Katana, but they use here it is. So this is on the fandom wiki. Molina is a clone of Katana created by Shang Tsung's sorcery in his flesh pits for Shao Kahn using Tarkatan blood and Edenian physiology.
Yeah.
So does that explain it for you, Guy from Red Bank?
And it honestly, it also is a huge reason why she has such hostility towards her sister Katana, because she feels that Katana overshadows her in many ways, because
she's still Katana big time,
of course. So I mean, you end up seeing Molina, who basically looks like Baraka in a lot of ways, and that's because of her Tarkatan DNA. So that's why they don't look exactly alike. But again, they're clones. They're going to have a lot of very similar features, and even in the video games, you really just see a lot of the features are identical to one another.
Yeah, they look extremely similar.
You can tell. I mean, come on, you can tell they're related, right? Essentially.
Yes.
So yeah, I was disappointed by the casting. I thought they could have done a better job because to me, aesthetics is important. It reminds me of what they did with The Witcher, which we won't get into. Yeah. But I
actually think we can get into that. This is a trend. Yeah. Because it's not just Mortal Kombat. It's not just The Witcher. We're seeing it. Yeah, it's a total trend. We're seeing it. We're going to talk about. We're talking about
Flash.
You've seen the Flash, but recently we just saw it happen in Wheel of Time. Amazon is adapting. For those who don't know what Wheel of Time is, it's a huge 12 to 14 book high fantasy epic novel series by Robert Jordan, and 3 of the main characters have been race swapped. People were criticizing me for saying that said their names wrong, but they race swapped Egwene, Perrin, and I guess people are telling me it's Nineveh. Nineveh is how you say it, and I was saying it Nineveh, but it's Nineveh. I guess that's what it says in the back of the book. My headcanon was always Nineveh. I don't know.
And as for people criticizing the way we're pronouncing, excuse me, I'm on my 7th cup of coffee. You're lucky that I'm not bouncing off the walls right now. So calm down, everyone. Right? But no, I completely agree with you, John. Yeah. I mean, this is an absolute trend. And for example, I started rereading the Witcher novels, and I don't know if any of you guys have read it, but when I was reading and going through them, and I saw Yennefer. Believe it or not, the person who I pictured was a very young Elizabeth Taylor in the author's description of the character. The purple eyes, especially, that's an Elizabeth Taylor trademark because she actually had them naturally. The dark hair, the figure. So to me, as someone who's read the books and is a fan, it kind of rips away that bond I have with the story, where I have the characters like pictured in my mind. And we've seen in the past they've done an excellent job of casting people who do look like the characters. I mean, one series that did an amazing job was Altered Carbon on Netflix. They did a great job with Takahashi on that
Dude,
on that.
I mean, I think The
TV
Witcher
show.
did a good job with Cavill.
Yeah,
He
they
looks
did
really good as
that was
Geralt.
a slam dunk. But
Yeah.
But you know what? Who was worse than Yennefer was not Siri. Oh my god, Trish, right?
Yeah.
A redhead.
Well, so she's actually chestnut in the books, redhead in the games.
Redhead in the game, but the books, depending on which book you're reading, it's brighter than chestnut, isn't it?
I mean, you're the one. You're reading them. I'm just going off of what I
But-
bits and
but
pieces
again-
of the novels that I've seen.
And I'm waiting for Siri to not have white hair at this point in time. Like, she's gonna have like either really dark hair or something like that, and that's gonna blow me away because I'm like, come on, guys, you could at least slap the wig on her like you did to Cavill. It won't kill you. It's like $20 a wig. Go to Spirit for God's sakes. But it really does take away, for me at least, the aesthetics of the story, and in following it, especially if you're a fan of the book series or the original medium where you discovered it. And I know they're taking a risk, and nothing against these actresses. Absolutely nothing against them personally. You do what you got to do to find work. I completely blame the casting directors, and they could have done a better job because they don't look like the characters as described in the book at all or in the video game, and they could have at least done a half-butt effort with that.
So we talked a little bit about how they're doing it to Wheel of Time, Witcher, and Mortal Kombat, but it's also happening with the new G.I. Joe spinoff, Snake Eyes. And
Oh, good.
I did
I'm
a video.
G.I. Joe fan, and I'll tell you, especially when I read our story about the what they're gonna do with Snake Eyes, I was just, oh my god. You know, I mean, I was a huge fan of G.I. Joe, like especially like the cartoons, like the original like 85 cartoons to oh god, how long did that run? That only ran like a couple of
like 3 seasons.
Years. 3 seasons.
Yeah, only 3 seasons, I believe.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of those
can believe-
80s shows didn't last very long.
No, they sold toys though.
But those,
Yeah, a lot of toys.
but the Joe cartoons, I mean, those were classic, and I was always, I never saw a problem with them. As a matter of fact, G.I. Joe was ahead of its time.
But here,
They had diversity done correctly.
and speaking of that, that's an excellent point, Drew. There is a way to do it correctly with a character from a book or from a game where you can race swap them and make them their own thing. And I know I mentioned this in the past in previous shows that we've had, John, and I'll also use it again. Shawshank Redemption with Red. Red was an Irishman in the books, and he was played, and then he became a black man in the movies, played by one awesome Morgan Freeman, who actually made a joke in the movie about it. Nice little Easter egg. But they were able to take an IP that was not as well known. I mean, the story Shawshank was based off of was from the Four Seasons novel collection novellettas from Stephen King, and let's not fake the funk. It was not very well known outside their niche group who really loved the story. So the movie completely eclipsed it. So they had an opportunity to do it right. But we're looking at a case here with The Witcher, with Wheel of Time, with these other IPs where they're very, very well known. The way the characters are look like is very well established, so that flexibility really is not there, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, from the Joe stuff is basically all been written by Larry Hama, Vietnam veteran, Asian American. I mean, like he even like had a response to the people saying that the casting was like was somehow correcting Snake Eyes being white. and he was just like, "This is
Like Snake
ridiculous."
Eyes was supposed to be white, man. That's how he wrote them.
Yeah,
that was part of its story.
It's the source material. Like
Yeah.
Snake Eyes, a lot of Snake Eyes character. There was an old movie back when I was a kid called American Ninja, and a lot of Snake Eyes' story had some parallels to American Ninja, the movie. Loosely, which was cool, but it sort of like went together. It was like that typical like man of action, like that
very Last Samurai.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. And nobody had a problem with it. It's just nowadays people are like
Overly sensitive
to have an issue with it.
No, you're right. I mean, you use characters like that to bridge cultures, right? Whether it's one way or the other, and that's the purpose. Whether it's like what we saw with Dancer with Wolves, with Kevin Costner's character living with the Native Americans in the Dakotas, with Tom Cruise's character being captured by the Samurai clan in Last Samurai. You use characters like that to help bridge the understanding between cultures through, as a plot device in these.
I mean, Batman does it.
Mm-hmm.
He trains with the League of Assassins in the hills and mountains in Asia.
In Nepal, if I remember correctly, and let's just say the League of Assassins aren't exactly the whitest people on the planet, right? Unlike
hell no.
He ends up incorporating a lot of that to his own character, and we see plenty of examples of this in real life, and that's why people relate to it. Where people move to a new place and they incorporate themselves into the culture. It's very natural, and the fact that they're turning away from this is very unfortunate in my view, and it does a disservice not only to the characters but to the fans who are looking forward to these properties.
Well,
yeah, and I was watching the Clownfish TV reaction. Shout out to them. One of the things that Geeky Sparkles was saying is like they're by casting Henry Golding, an Asian person, to play like the ninja G.I. Joe. They're casting him as a stereotype.
It is. She and it was spot on, that description of it, because it is almost in a way a stereotypical casting, and this is the problem, because you've got all these like token representation castings, and again it's all because a lot of these studios are trying to be cool, they're trying to be trendy, they're trying to keep the Twitter mobs off their back. So it's like, hey, look at us, we've got this Asian person as a cast, and it's like, come on, man,
And here's the killer.
I'm Asian myself. To me, that's an insult to my intelligence. It's like, look, I don't need Snake Eyes to be Asian to appease me. I need Snake Eyes to be Snake Eyes from the source material. Okay? And that's the problem with it. And this stuff is just gonna keep being doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on until, and I'm telling you guys, mark my words, because it will seriously do a 180 and it'll cool down after 2021, because especially if Trump wins again, forget it. Hollywood is going to tap out. They're just going to go they're because they're going to have to stop bleeding out money, and they're bleeding out money every time that they put out this woke garbage.
And I'll give you an example from my own culture. I mean, every time you see a freaking scene that has a little bit of salsa and merengue, there's got to be a goddamn Puerto Rican or Cuban in there. I'm like, I've seen a lot of people of not my descent being able to dance very well those particular genres, guys. Come on, we don't need the token brown guy. And you have South Park, who did an amazing job of displaying that with Token Black on their show. They completely make fun of that, how Hollywood, we got our token, we got our tax deductible right there. We're gonna have to cast them, and it is. You're right. It's a complete slap in the face to people like us and anyone else from these cultures who. We kind of feel like we're just being pandered to, and we don't want to be pandered to. We want a damn good story. It's not.
No, yeah, exactly, man. Nobody wants to be pandered to. I mean, and I don't want, and like I said, as an Asian person, that's offensive to me. I don't want, token representation. I don't need token representation. we're a proud we have a proud heritage. We don't need token representation to make us feel any more proud about our heritage.
Exactly. I mean, with the Asians, I mean, you see in my movies, what are they? They're either ninjas or they're nuclear scientists, for God's sakes. Come on, guys. Come on, Hollywood. Seriously, just because someone's Asian doesn't make them good at karate or math. Get out of that bubble.
I mean, one of the best movies I've seen this year was is Japanese. I think it was Japanese or Korean. I can't remember. And it was Netflix. It was on Netflix. It was called, what was it called? Wolf Brigade. It was an all Asian. It was an Asian film, and it was just absolutely fantastic, and just told like a really good like intrigue, police story, with them trying to hunt down kind of like a terrorist faction, and there was like who was actually like behind the terrorists. Was it the terrorists? And it was really, really good. It was like an awesome intrigue movie.
And we see it can be done. And what's sad is that the streaming services do a much better job at being able to cast correct people with the characters and not
maybe
token for the most part. I understand, but I'm talking about like original programming that you see from their Japanese or the Korean or Thai studios. They do a great job. But here in the major studios here in the States, it's not so much. They're like, oh, here we go, got the ninja guy.
So you got to remember though, Hollywood is what, like 85-90% like hard leftist SJW people. They're not gonna.
And most of them come from money to begin with, so it's not like they never came out of the bubble.
I wanted to. You were talking about how you thought that Hollywood's bleeding money, and I kind of wanted to. I think wanted to touch back on that a little bit, Drew. We actually are seeing that bear out, especially with Star Wars at Disney, and they just that Q3 report and the Q3 investors call. I mean, they admitted that their Star Wars Galaxy attendance is down. They admitted that merchandise sales for Star Wars is down. They admitted that Solo sucked. Or was it not? Maybe not sucked, but it was a financial suck
disaster.
Yeah. I mean, so it's coming home to roost for Star Wars pretty significantly, at least in that Q3 report. And I think Disney is taking action. Iger's was like, "Yo, we're gonna take a chill pill with the movies after Rise of Skywalker, and maybe try and hopefully people will forget what happened by the time 2021 rolls around. I think is when the next Star Wars comes out.
Yeah, people aren't
2023 or something like that. So hopefully that people counting on people having short memories, and he's really counting on Walt Disney World with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to
do any better.
Continue to go down. Yeah. And we saw it with Woke Busters in 2016. I have a
Men in Black International.
Yeah, Men in Black. I think the new Terminator film is going to absolutely bomb. No one's going to go see that just based off the trailers.
We're looking at the year to date right now from Box Mojo. I have it right here on my screen, and they're already down 6.7%.
And that's with Endgame.
Yeah.
That's with Endgame. That's with SpiderMan Far From Home. That's with a lot of properties that hit the box office. It's not like this was a slow year for movies.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, by the time it's all said and done, they're gonna be down at least 15 to 20%.
I'm a little bit more conservative. I think it should be about a 10% drop this year, maybe. And 2019, 2020 is going to really make that deciding factor again. But we also have to keep in mind there's also reboot fatigue going on, which I don't believe is helping. So there's a lot of variables in why the box office isn't doing so well. But I know this is definitely not helping. I'll be honest. This year I haven't
talk about reboot fatigue. Is there really a reboot fatigue? I'm not sure that there is. Halloween the sequel, reboot sequel, whatever you want to call it, that movie was wildly successful. Had a super low budget, made a ton of. It was like a $10 million budget. It made like over $100 million or more.
People are cool with reboots if they're done correctly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think this reboot. I disagree with you on reboot fatigue. Okay. That's the same crap that Iger is saying about Star Wars fatigue. There's no such thing as Star Wars fatigue. People want Star Wars stories. They want good Star Wars stories. They just don't want the crap we've gotten the past couple years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where I'm coming from is that a lot of people are just tired of seeing essentially the same. I mean, I have not had a reason to go to the movies in going on 4 years, to be honest with you. I've yet to see a movie where I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to spend a good $50, be bothered by dozens of other people around me to watch a movie, because nothing really original has come out. No movie has grabbed me since John Wick, where I say I'm can come out and watch this movie. I've always said I'll wait for the DVD because the experience is just not there. It's not original to me. That's just how I feel. And from what where I'm coming from, because I honestly I don't want to see the same movie reiterated. I mean, look at the Disney live action versions of Aladdin, of The Lion King. I don't really need to re-see that again. I saw it already. It was great. Why do I need to see a rehash of that live action?
I'm actually glad you brought that up. I saw something somewhere where like someone was commenting like Disney needs to do something original, and I'm just like, what has Disney ever done that's original? All their like animated films are based off the Grimm fairy tales. Incredibles is Fantastic Four. I mean, what like, is there anything that Disney's done that's like based off of a fairy tale or some kind of source material?
Oh, you're correct. I mean, for the most part, most stories are some sort of version of the hero's journey. I totally get that. New Hope is the perfect example of that, Star Wars, since we're talking about it. But you are essentially seeing Disney, especially, just regurgitating almost basically scene for scene animated movies that are 50 years old at least.
Right.
Newer ones, and that's old. That really gets old real fast, especially, for me, in my 30s. I'm thinking to myself, I seen this 20 years ago. Why do I want to go to a movie theater and watch just people do this live? I can watch.
I haven't watched any of those live action movies.
Right?
Zero interest.
I'm with you. I'm zero interest. I could probably see a better live action in a freaking high school theater production of versus the current live action version of it, because I'll get more enjoyment from it, or the Broadway version. Why would I want to see it on live television? I'm sorry, I love James Earl Jones, but he's not going to make me come to the theater.
If I want to watch Aladdin now, I'm going to stick in my 1994
Amen. I'm
animated
sorry.
DVD VHS.
Will Smith's an amazing actor, but Robin Williams was made for that. Was completely made for that character. Again, they have not been able to hook me in. And of course, they made some good money with these movies, but I don't think they've made as much money as they were kind of betting on with Lion King, with Aladdin. They could have made more money.
I think you're completely right there. I think Disney expected to make a lot more money off a lot of those live actions, especially after Beauty and the Beast made a killing.
You beat me to it. They thought they killed it with Beauty and the Beast, and that they could just rehash all their old IPs. They don't have to spend that much more money in getting these rights or developing these stories, and they could just shoot them out fast. But I think
I do want to
outlier.
I do want to kind of chide you on like, there hasn't been any original stuff. Kevin Hart's movie with the guy from Breaking Bad, that was one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And that was based on a real story. It was original. It was very original. And I mean, that was, you would like,
kind of crazy.
It was good. He wasn't even playing it. He wasn't even a comedy role. He was it was like, what was it called? Because he plays he's like a caretaker of a man who was like in a wheelchair. It's called The Upside. With Bryan Cranston. Yeah. That is a great film, and was well worth going to the movie theaters to see.
But here's the thing, I haven't heard about it. And I eat this stuff up. So again, what's really being put out there right? I'm not expecting to put $200 million in marketing for a film like that. But at the same time, we should know that it's out there. But instead, what are they doing? They are plastering us with their remakes. Give me some original stuff. I guarantee you, if they were to mix it up a bit, they'd be a little bit more successful. Maybe their earnings report would have been stronger.
Well, so I've talked to one of my sources who kind of works in the movie business. I mean, a lot of the reason why you're seeing a lot of these reboots and franchises just constantly continue is because they have the name recognition already. Investors obviously want a safe bet, and they're sold on these franchises being safe bets. I think that trend is going to dissipate rather quickly, given this year. With like Hellboy bombing, Men in Black bombing, we're going to see Terminator bomb.
Well, look at the competition they're getting from Netflix too and Hulu. They're making some pretty decent original movies. I saw one the other night, which was amazing. I can't remember. It has Michael Pena from
the sci-fi one. Yeah, I won't spoil it. But that's what you're talking about? It's the sci-fi film he's in?
Extinction. There we go. That was an amazing movie. Holy crap. I went into it.
Yeah, that was a really good sci-fi film.
With my wife, not knowing anything. We're just going to watch this. We watched it, and I was blown away. Holy crap. That right there, I would have taken the time out to get in my car and gone to a movie theater to watch it. And I think that's also strangling the major studios. They already have, the streaming services have a captured audience, and they could just deliver content to them.
Yeah, my couch is almost more comfortable than a movie theater, and my TV is pretty much
4K TVs are not that expensive compared to 20 years ago. And I don't have to pay $20 for a bag of stale popcorn and be bothered by someone's kid to watch the movie. So again, you're not giving me an experience, studios. You have to give me experience if you want that $20 from me.
Yeah,
most times they're not.
I will say theater. So when I go to the theaters now, or at least when I would say most of the time I've been to the theaters is we're going to Alamo Drafthouse.
Yes.
So it is an experience. You're going for an experience. You get the dinner and a movie. The dinner's at your seat and everything. So it is an experience. So I have to go out of my way to make the theater viewing an experience.
See, there you go, John. Buy a movie theater and have it just be pizza and beer.
And here's the thing, though. I mean, Alamo Drafthouse,
they got good pizza there.
With they rescreen movies like Nightmare Before Christmas, and you get cereal, for God's sakes, right? So it shows that there's real demand for it out there. You just have to give us an experience. And the studios on their end need to give us something to watch that's not rehashed. I'll watch Nightmare Before Christmas again. That's not a problem, but I'm not going to watch it if you're going to make it into a live action film. You're going to completely kill the magic.
Yeah, they'll do. I mean, they have Clue. They do all these classic cult films. And just making an experience, and it's just fun.
See, that would be fun.
Again, it's old movies. These are old movies too. Yeah. They do new movies, obviously, but they have a lot of old movies that they'll play as well. It's a lot of fun.
I'm just lucky because I have some cheap movie theaters around here. There's a movie theater, we have a dead mall that's not far from my house. And it's on its last legs type mall, but the movie theater that's at that mall, God, you could go see a movie there for $5. and we're talking brand new first run, movies when they come out, you go see them for $5.
That's super cheap.
But again, I know there's a lot of variables behind all of this. It's not just the studios; it's also the movie theaters and whoever's showing the movies. But again, I'm personally fatigued by seeing the same thing over and over again, the same story with just different people or a cartoon turned into a live action. I'd like to see something a little bit more original. But I will also concede to your point, John, that maybe if it's done correctly, it can be very successful.
Well, see, that's my thing. I'm on I can understand both sides, but again, I have to concur with John on that too, because if you do a reimagining or a reboot, and as I said before, do it correctly, cast it with just good actors, and not because you're trying to virtue signal or anything else, and if you respect the viewer and or the reader, if it's a written work, I mean, you've got the audience captivated at that point. You've got people invested. You don't have, you're not sitting there trying to come up as, morally preachy to the audience. If you leave it up to them, that's what makes a good story.
And it wouldn't be a meme now. I mean, you guys seen it when you go online. When the remake is going to come out, what is the first thing people post? I mean, you get all these memes that are like, "Oh my god, not another one." People get tired.
Who cares?
Right? No one cares. Oh,
well, yeah, people.
The Ryan Reynolds meme.
people are just telesick, I think, of the woke messaging
and that doesn't help them. That really does not help them. I don't need to be lectured to by an industry full of perverts, for God's sake. Seriously.
No,
I don't need that in my life.
I will say that, like, when I saw this, there's a rumor going around about a reboot, and it's the Die Hard reboot. I just rolled my eyes and be like, a younger John McClane, nah, I don't need to see it. It's going to be horrible. No Bruce Willis. I'm out.
Well, I mean, I got you beat there. I rolled my eyes so far back into my head, I saw into the past. Okay, where I saw that story. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Really?
Even without woke culture, just it's a bad idea for young John McClane at any point in time. I mean, Jesus,
especially since the first Die Hard established the character, right? I mean, that's where people started from. You don't need to go back from that.
Where are they going to put it? If they're doing a young John McClane and he's a New York cop, I mean, that's what, the 80s or 90s, right?
Yeah.
That's if we're lucky. If they have him
or even younger, right? Maybe 70s.
No, that's thinking if they go back to that time, right? I mean, what if they're going to young John McClane in today's time? We're going to get a lecture on police brutality for half the movie.
Oh yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
he'll be the bad guy.
Up this poor drug peddler. All he wants to do is peddle drugs for his sick grandma.
When that's as bad as young Indiana Jones to me. Just leave.
You mean the TV show?
God.
You didn't like that cheesy TV show? It was amazing, man.
God, man. So bad.
You see the green screen in the back? That's what made it rich. I loved it.
So I know you've been biting at the chomp to talk about this, Jorge, and it's your Star Trek story.
Yes. Let's see. We got Jadzia Dax, my first crush.
I think that's a pretty good first crush.
Oh, thank you. Jadzia Dax, officially pansexual. For anyone who was not a Star Trek fan, you're surprised. If you were a fan of the series and actually watched the character, you kind of said, duh, essentially, right?
Let's be real, though. She ain't pansexual. She's just bi.
Well, not even that. I mean, if you watch the television show, and don't get me wrong, they retconned the Trill heavily after The Next Generation, because that's when we first saw them, was an episode of The Next Generation. And then when they brought them to Deep Space Nine, they retconned a lot of the species a bit.
But so provide some background on the Trill for people who might not know.
The Trill are species of aliens, as you'd expect from Star Trek. They're humanoid, and a small percent of the population are allowed to be joined with a symbiote. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing about that,
which is found on the same planet the Trill humanoids are, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes, so the Trill share a planet with another sentient species. They're essentially symbionts, and they can do a ritual where you can join the Trill, which is the host, with a symbiote, and once you're joined together, you gain the memories of all the other hosts previously from that symbiote.
And the symbionts have a lot longer lifespan than the humanoids.
Yeah, the humanoid host has a
So they can have like 8 or 9.
yes.
Like
they live like centuries and centuries.
Well, they live about 10 times longer than the Trill, who they live about comparable with a human being. So you can end up being, if you're chosen as a host, having about 6-7 lifetimes worth of memories, mannerisms, absorbed into your being, which for them is a very coveted experience. So we had Terry Farrell, who was at
who played Dax,
played Jadzia
right.
Dax at Star Trek and in Vegas, the convention there, and
that was like about a week ago, right?
About a week ago, and she basically made it clear that the only rule for that species has to be is more intellectual level, some physical, of course. See what her Worf. Not so much gender bound, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the symbiote is not gendered like their hosts, right? The hosts are bigendered, just like humans. You have male and females, but the symbiotes are not. So in Dax's case, the Dax symbiote, depending on when it was in Jadzia at that time, was married was a husband twice and a wife, I believe, 5 times, right? So they were married about 7 times, and they were both the spouse. I mean, the bridegroom and the groom in the relationship. So they had that experience. So for them, developing.
So I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do they only marry other Trill who have a symbiont, or can they marry non-symbiont Trill?
No, they marry outside their species.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the easiest way I can.
He was married to Worf.
Yeah.
Well, right. Yeah.
Had the stuff on his face, weird stuff. But she was married to Worf. But
they can have relationships with the Trill symbiont, because we see that in that one episode where they kiss.
Yes.
Right?
So, the feelings and emotions, everything transfers over into the new host, right? So, best example I can give is the relationship Jadzia had with Benjamin Sisko, Captain Sisko, right? Because Sisko knew the Dax symbiote when it was Curzon Dax,
which was a male.
And his mentor. And we see it in his relationship with Jadzia, where he playfully calls her old man, because he's always known her as.
That's from like the first episode.
Yes. So
she arrives in the first episode.
I believe so.
It's early on.
But it's very early on in the first season, and you see this dynamic between the two go on, because you see Dax take on the relationship with Sisko. That mentor relationship is still there in a way, especially when you saw there was an episode where Sisko died later in the series, and Dax took on taking care of Jake, his son. And she took on the essentially father figure role for the character, and it shows you that the personality traits of the symbiote are unique, and they really imprint themselves upon the host. So when Terry Farrell made the comment about Dax being pansexual or the feelings, it's not really surprising. It's not even a pansexual thing. It's just the fact that the symbiote itself is an asexual creature living in a bigendered host. So their feelings are going to be a lot more fluid compared to other species, right? I mean, we saw Dax attracted to Worf, right? Towards the end of the season, married Worf. They had some freaky going-ons, breaking furniture, of course. So you see this, and when Dax was married became married a woman, when the Dax symbiote was in a man, and vice versa was in a woman. You see it continue on. But in that episode that you're mentioning, John, that particular symbiote was with Dax and had a pre-existing relationship with another one, because they were married to another host as well. So the two symbiotes kind of, those old feelings came back with one another. And that's because, again, those emotions and feelings transfer over to the new host. And to me, that's not so much pansexual. That's more as, these are old memories and echoes of a being that transcends bodies, right? And a lot of people on the internet were like, "Oh my God, this proves that this or that." I'm like, no, watch the show, guys. It's a lot more complex and complicated.
Yeah,
for one, and for two, sexuality for humans is uniquely to humans. I would think if aliens were real, I'm not going to assume that it's going to be the exact same set of cards, right?
Well, when I first saw that, I was just like, oh, so she's like into robots or something like else. I was like, that's interesting because when I first kind of like became aware of that term, it was when it was in Solo when they were saying that Lando was a pansexual because he was into his robot.
And it's funny because you brought that up because essentially we saw something like that in another Star Trek series, Next Generation, with Lieutenant Commander Data and Tasha Yar, who towards the end of her run on the show, they kind of get it on.
And Data's an android, right?
Yeah, he's a robot. But yeah, he's an android, and of course she's human. So
yeah, you see that in Dragon Ball Z too.
Yeah, I mean, the bots are coming. Everyone be scared. The bots are coming.
You know what?
They're already here.
Yeah, they're already here, and all the lonely basement dwellers are super stoked.
Honestly, George, man, I had to change my trail crush from Jadzia to that like hot lieutenant that was from that clip in Insurrection. when they're doing the Riker maneuver against the Sona ships.
Are you talking about Urzi Dax, the one right after her?
No. There's all right. So you remember the movie Star Trek Insurrection, right?
Oh no, the one at the helm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Like
yeah,
ensign or lieutenant, man, and she's smoking hot, dude.
I stick to my guns. Yeah. Gene Roddenberry's no, not Gene Roddenberry's Leonard Nimoy's Sons of the Lucky Man.
Oh yeah. Dude, Terry Farrell is still looking
good. Yeah.
And for those of you viewers out there, by the way, if you want a little cool piece of trivia about Terry Farrell, if you are a fan of horror movies, she was in Hellraiser 3 as well.
Which was an okay Hellraiser.
Franchises that are getting rebooted. That one is due.
No, they've tried a couple times, but dang, that keeps crashing and burning with New Line.
Yeah, they announced it like I think it was like 2 months ago. A new Hellraiser is coming out.
They've been announcing on the website for years, man. I'm not holding hope for that.
Well, I think they're doing like a Hellraiser TV show and a movie at the same time.
Oh, I hope it's on Disney.
What are we up to now? What is it, like 11?
They're up to Hellraiser 20, and this one's going to be on Disney. It's going to be super PG-13, and Pinhead just needs to be talked to. Oh, I have no real hope for that. Clive Barker's been barking up that tree, no pun intended, for quite a while. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago, he did a quick investors clip with Hellraiser. It looked great, but it went nowhere, so I'm not too sure.
Yep, Kim Can Park, welcome to the party. Said he's tired of the reboots.
Not alone, I told you guys.
So I think there's a difference between the reboots and like doing other stories within a franchise.
In a universe, right?
Like in a universe. So like the idea of like Star Wars fatigue is just bogus to me because I think you can tell like really awesome Star Wars stories outside of like the original trilogy or what they're calling it, the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And we've seen Old Republic, we've seen we've seen Timothy Zahn's what's the blue guy's name? I'm totally blanking. He was in Rebels. But we've seen Rebels. I've seen Clone Wars animated. That stuff. There's really good storylines in those.
But they were popular because they expanded the universe, and they
and it's outside of like that. I mean, you could argue the Clone Wars is in the Skywalker saga, but Rebels is definitely outside of it.
Well, what people are tired of is the same characters being rebooted over and over again, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what people are tired of.
Indiana Jones, Die Hard, like, okay, like we don't like Harrison Ford is gone. Come up with another adventure story, and there are, and one of the ones that I'm actually like, they've announced that there's a movie in development for, but I'm hoping we'll start seeing some. It's Danger Girl, but I'm hoping it doesn't go the way of Charlie's Angels, which looks horrible. With the Danger Girl could be really, really good.
You don't like what Charlie's Angels is offering us right now?
It's exactly what Kim Can Park is saying. Tired of the reboots. Charlie's Angels is a horrible
you don't-
reboot we don't need to see.
You don't want to be lectured to for 2 hours in a movie theater full of kids? Oh man, you're terrible human beings. Sir.
You know that Charlie's Angels one that was what was that movie? It was like early 2000s. The one
with Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu.
That one wasn't bad.
That was pretty good.
Bad.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Lucy Liu?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make like cool like new stuff in Charlie's Angels.
Yeah,
this one just looks horrible.
Well, Charlie's Angels established even in the TV show that you bring in new angels, right? It's not a difficult thing to do. I mean, you already had that established since the 70s. They did that because of Farrah Fawcett not being able to finish, willing to finish off a contract with the series back in the day. So I would like to see new characters, but again, it looks terrible. I saw the preview, and the first time popped in my head was like, "Oh, you're so strong. You're so masculine. Good job. You completely ripped away the femininity of the show. Thank you."
Yeah. I think like that's what I'm saying. I think this idea of like reboots, they're just rebooting a franchise with like crap story. If like what Drew was saying, like you can do a reboot and have it be fun and exciting and entertaining, like that early 2000s movie was.
Because it wanted to be fun and entertaining.
Yeah, now it's just lecture, or like in like the story is second. Like I'm afraid of the new Bond movie. I am like terrified.
I'm terrified.
What's going to happen in that?
Quit reading my mind, John.
Yeah, it'd be a hot mess.
That was something that happened this week. For those who don't know, what is the title? No Time to Die.
Oh,
Another Day, essentially.
No Time. I like the title. I like the title.
Boo, Wendy Testerberger, boo.
I thought the title was a Bond title. I mean,
yeah,
it sounded like a Bond title to me.
It's a Bond title, but the movie is just I'm concerned it's going to be trash.
So I actually have
looks bad.
I have a synopsis here that I did not share on the website. Let me see here. Where is it? Here it is. So I'll read it here. I got it in an email, and I'll read it to you guys. In No Time to Die, Bond has left active service and is enjoying a tranquil life in Jamaica. His peace is short-lived when his old friend Felix Leiter, I'm probably saying that wrong, from the CIA turns up asking for help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns out to be far more treacherous than expected, leading Bond onto the trail of a mysterious villain armed with dangerous new technology. That is the synopsis that MGM has released.
I mean, honestly, that kind of seems like a very safe synopsis that really touches along a lot of old.
Yeah, it sounds like Bond.
Yeah, it sounds like a Bond movie, right?
The problem is we have a leak from Daily Mail that basically says that Lashana Lynch's character walks in the beginning of the movie into M's office, and M addresses her as 007.
Super awesome, right?
Yeah.
Makes me so stoked for the movie. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
Sarcasm's leaking out of my pores.
Yeah, I just.
But again, it goes back to the whole lecturing thing. I mean, these movies could be done good. I'm to the point now where I would go for another Austin Powers movie versus what we're getting right now.
Pretty much.
I mean, isn't the Orville supposed to be kind of like a parody? I've never watched any episodes of the Orville, but from what I understand, it's a better Star Trek than Star Trek, and it's supposed to be like a parody, right?
It is.
The Orville's actually really good. It kind of draws inspiration from the.
But isn't it supposed to be a parody?
In a way.
It's a lighthearted parody on, but it touches heavily on Star Trek, but a bunch of other sci-fi tropes.
It's like Star Trek mixed with Galaxy.
There we go. Perfect, Drew. That's an amazing analogy there.
Yeah. So
they do it right though. I mean, they know what people want. You know, they respect the genre, and they were able to deliver something that Star Trek fans are looking for, which Disco has not. Going on.
They've actually, John, what they've done with the Orville is like, I mean, they stick to kind of like it's a good blend of comedy and serious drama sometimes, but they've actually pulled off some straight serious dramatic episodes where it had a really good narrative that explained something, and they did it in the right way where they didn't pander to anything. They didn't try to preach to people. They just left it up to the viewer, and that's why the Orville's done so good.
Well, not only that, it's more episodic than analogy too, or not, whatever. And Star Trek, in my view, has always been stronger in episodic episodes versus, long form storytelling. Don't get me wrong, you had it done well in Deep Space Nine, but that's because they still had a lot of the episodic elements within an overreaching storyline. And Discovery is not like that at all. So not only did they take away Star Trek from where its strong point, which is that, but then they ended up giving me a version of Battlestar Galactica I did not want.
Wait, George, are you and I gonna be fighting here about BSG? Because I liked reimagined BSG, bro.
Hey, I'm not saying anything bad about BSG. I think it's good. It's just that they did BSG terribly, right? For Star Trek. They're like, we're gonna copy these kids and we're gonna do it in a grade F where BSG was.
Oh, are you talking about Discovery?
Well. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what's the frustrating part about it. Again, it's why the fandom's divided. And we'll have a story about that coming up tomorrow. But they gave us a product that we didn't want. I did not want a woke, long form storytelling Star Trek at all. I wanted Star Trek.
Well, here's the problem, because I'm a huge Star Trek fan myself. People have been saying for the longest time, like, look, we want something, either some years after Nemesis or something that picks up that picks up generally like right after Nemesis. But give us something in the prime timeline, please. And fans have been asking for that for I don't know how long. So what does he do?
2006.
So what do? They stick Discovery in our face.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, they first strike, of course, was, hey, we're gonna go back before start the original series and give you some background to Federation, which we did not need. I think Enterprise did a better job.
Enterprise covered that fine, yeah.
Right. And then not only that, but they gave me, and I'll keep saying this, they gave me JJ versus Star Trek. That's what Discovery is. I don't want lens flare. I don't care how expensive each episode is. You're not giving me quality product. I don't need a reimagining of the Borg. I don't need a reimagining of Section 31. Give me Star Trek. And you didn't want to continue. Now they're continuing past Nemesis because they're able to get Patrick Stewart to reprise his role. But man, I guarantee they really pushed on him because they saw that the fans were not too happy with Discovery. And Discovery had the potential. Right, but I know we reported on this back in March, but it seemed what makes it worse is it seemed that they copied some indie gamers story video game for the first season of Star Trek. Essentially, a lot of the characters, the plot points.
That's a lawsuit. He's suing them for that.
And a big shout out, by the way, because I made friends with Anas Abdeen on Twitter, so big shout out to Anas, man. Yeah. # Justice for Anas, dude.
Amen to that.
You're watching, yo, bro. We're behind you 110%, brother.
But again, I mean, so many strikes, right? They gave me a prequel to the original series, which we already didn't need. We've already visited with Scott Bakula, right? They gave us an aesthetic and lens flares from JJ Verse. They couldn't even hire decent writers. They obviously needed to get help from outside. We'll just leave it at that and take other ideas. So what did they give me? They gave me expensive special effects and weird looking Klingons who weren't Klingons, who were actually metaphors and analogies of Trump supporters. Thank you, Star Trek. You gave me exactly everything I did not want.
No, yeah, they absolutely did, dude. And again, Kurtzman doesn't know how to do Star Trek whatsoever.
But here, we'll connect the two, though. The Orville successful is because Seth MacFarlane was a fan of Star Trek. He's been on one of the shows he was on. He did a quick walk-on role on Star Trek Enterprise, and he was a fan of all of it. And he made his own show because he saw the love for it.
Yeah, he understands the essence of what makes it
Exactly. They bring in Discovery and they bring in people who are not fans. And that's fine if you're not a fan, but if you don't at least understand what the heck's going on emotionally and have some sort of bond there, you're not going to be able to do it right. And that's why I think TNG did so well, is because even though Gene Roddenberry, they had to really push him out around the second or third season, they were still able to keep on a lot of those core tenets of Star Trek while still being flexible, adding a little bit more flexibility to add some drama to the TV show. So they took a formula that DS9, TNG, Voyager to a lesser extent, and Enterprise had, and they completely scrapped it out the window. And they're like, here's some lens flare, here's some special effects, and we'll give you some decent sci-fi. And I'll give Star Trek that. It's a decent sci-fi show. It's not a good Star Trek show.
I want to cut in here real quick. So you're talking about how they brought in people who didn't kind of like respect the material. I think that's a Hollywood problem, and that's not just a Discovery problem. I've talked to some people. Some of my sources have told me that they like this. They brought in for the big sci-fi movie that's coming up. I can't really say in order to protect my source, but it's coming up, and they had hired a scriptwriter to write it, and so hold on, Kim Can Park. We don't delist the streams. We keep them up on the channel. You should be good. So I was talking to my source, and he told me that the studio hired the scriptwriter for this big sci-fi film that's coming up, and the scriptwriter like removed, and it's based off of a novel, and the scriptwriter novel series, and the scriptwriter like removed like 2 or 3 key elements from the novel series that play out over the in the course of the novel, that play key roles in this series of novels, and they removed this part. And they asked him, was like, "Did you read any of the novels past the first one?" And the guy was like, "No, I didn't want to read any of them because I just wanted to do it my way." And I think that's just typical of Hollywood. These people that they're hiring to like write these scripts don't read any of the source material. They don't understand it. And then they're just trying to like, I think these characters are cool. Let me just do what I want to do with them.
And they've been doing this for years, John. I mean, I'll give you a great example of this. Starship Troopers, the book is nothing like the movie. The director, Paul, whatever his name is, was not a big. Thank you. I am bad with names today. Had to have the dang story dictated to him. He didn't want to read the book. He's like, whatever. And he basically loosely based Starship Troopers on the book. And as someone who's read the book and seen the movie, I'm a fan of both. And
I do like the movies, though.
Yeah, the movie's great.
Yeah, the movie's
I separate the two. To me, they're not the same thing at all.
No,
and that was successfully done because Paul is a really good director, right, and a good writer, so he's able to pull it off. But more often than not, you see Hollywood.
No, I'm not saying you have to be like has to be an exact adaptation. Like obvious, like no, the movie's a different medium. You're gonna there's gonna be changes, but what I'm getting at is that they're literally taking out like core elements of this series because they want to like put their own vision of like what they read in just like one of the books, instead of like, you really can't do that if you looked at it from a longer perspective. It's like, what are you thinking?
Well, see, like, and this is how I'm gonna be very skeptical if they ever try to do like adapt Halo into a movie or into a TV show, because
they've done animated.
Yeah, animated.
You're talking live action though.
But if they do like live action, John, especially after playing through the games, understanding the lore, understanding the entire like Halo verse, because I literally have like the guide to like the Halo universe, like the Halopedia, like that explains all the lore. I mean,
they're gonna have Master Chief remove his helmet.
Yeah, they would have something stupid like that happen, and I'm afraid
the only way that wouldn't happen is they hired Carl Urban, who refused to take off the Judge Dredd helmet in Dredd.
Yeah, see, that would be, that would actually be pretty good, but I want them to do like an IP like that justice, and most people want that. With any good like science fiction or horror, it doesn't necessarily matter the genre, but if it's an IP that people are invested in, they just want justice to be done to the source material, and that's the biggest thing with a lot of this stuff is. With these writers, like you were saying, that come in, a lot of them are either like very novice writers, or they're activists first. So their first instinct is to write according to political voice and not according to creative vision. And so we have so many problems with that now.
And I got some bad news for you, man. There's a Halo series being done by Showtime. Should be coming out 2021.
Yeah,
so I would
in development.
I would start stocking up on some antidepressants because it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
So I actually
woke. Oh my god, if it goes woke.
I actually want to point that what you're saying. I actually think the entertainment industry is actually pointing that out too. It's not just us, us fans and critics of the entertainment industry. So Richard Rushfeld, he's a former editor at the LA Times, Gawker, BuzzFeed, Yahoo, HitFix. He's been pretty much everywhere when it comes to like these media and entertainment sites. He actually talks about writers being activists and directors being activists. Here he says right here, it was in his newsletter called The Ankler, and this is a quote: "We've come to this bizarre place where the boundaries between the roles of critic, political activist, fanboy, and box office reporter have completely dissolved. Everything has to play a role in some larger, greater, good narrative, which is fine if critics want to see the world that way and offer criticism through the lens of, quote, how does this help the movement?" End quote. And then he continues, "It's harder to justify if you're supposedly covering box office for the film industry and filtering your business analysis through that lens, or that lens watered down via general media hoopla." So this is a guy who's worked at these entertainment sites, and he's coming out and like criticizing the entertainment media, as well as the people that are creating these TV shows and movies and whatnot.
We reported in the past, it's not just in movies. We've seen this especially in video games over the last 7 years, where the line between reporting about a video game and wanting to be some sort of activist is completely blurred, and it's really unfortunate because, like I tell people, if you want to write about politics, write for a freaking political website. I want to know about a video game. I want to know what the heck's going on. I don't need you to, again, lecture me on your personal morals. You're wasting my time, and you're not worth the click.
I know I'm a novice game journalist here, but I actually feel like, hey, I'm a real game journalist. I'm not writing as an activist.
Right. And that's something you should be proud of. People want to read about the games. They don't need to be lectured to by people who can't get out of their parents' house for a living, right? Come on. We want to know about...
Yeah, what's the gunplay?
Yeah, we want to know about the gunplay. We want to know about the plot. How's the graphics?
The strategy.
Will this work on our... Yeah. Will this actually work well on a PC? What is the difference between PC, console? Is there any sort of difference in the actual product? Do you see any mods that will improve the game? There's a lot of variables that they can talk about. No one needs to get someone's ideas about Marxism or any other political ideology and underlying tones in video games, because they're not supposed to be there.
Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but I saw, I don't know who it was, but apparently there's a whole website dedicated to reviewing media on its level of wokeness.
Serious?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but
in a way that's kind of awesome.
They rate media on its level of wokeness. I gotta find it. But
now are they mocking them, or is this a thing?
No, it's like legit. It looks legit to me.
So they're oh, dude.
Now
this is ridiculous.
Now, Nomads, to address your comment in chat, are you guys with Nerdrotic? I know John is buddies with Gary. I watch Gary's content all the time. I haven't had any personal interactions myself with Gary, but I know John has.
Oh yeah, what? Yeah, I talk to Gary all the time.
Yeah, and John's
I love his videos.
Did someone ask a question in the chat? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Nomads did. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking up that website. It's called the website's called Mediaversity Reviews .com. But yeah, no, I do live streams with Gary on Fridays usually. We've kind of been on a hiatus since Swamp Thing has ended, and a little bit before that, we both kind of got busy. I went on vacation. He was covering San Diego. He was in Vegas, so we just weren't able to like match up. But we are planning. We're talking about doing Titans, and talking about reviewing Titans season 2 when that comes to DC Universe.
Yeah, Nomads, thanks for the compliment. But John and George and myself, I'm obviously not Supreme Heretic in real life. I'm Drew Taylor, but we all write for Bounding, and we're very proud of what we do because we like to give you guys, the readers, the no bullshit side of everything and the common sense perspective. We're not going to give you the tied to an agenda perspective. When you come and read the content on our site, you're going to come and read a story that is presented to you with the facts and not BS. And if we write an opinion piece, we state that it's an opinion piece.
Yeah. Hey, Mega Jetty. You said we kind of addressed that earlier in the stream here about the race swap of Raiden and Molina, and I mean Raiden has been depicted as white in Mortal Kombat like since the beginning. So even if he's based off of a Japanese thunder god named Raiden in Mortal Kombat, he's a white character. And he was played by Christopher Lambert in '95 as a white character. And who was the actor in that '96 television show, Jorge?
What
was his name? The '96 Mortal Kombat TV show from TNT.
Jeremy Meek, I believe. Let me pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah, so he was played by a white actor in the 1996 television show as well.
Yeah, it was Mortal Kombat Conquest. I'm pulling it up right now. Sorry.
And even in Mortal Kombat 11, he's a white.
Jeffrey Meek.
Yeah, so Jeffrey Meek, so a white dude, played him in the '96 Mortal Kombat show. I mean, he's been depicted as a white dude.
By the way, Mega Jetty, what up? Good to see you, man. How you doing?
That's why we ran that story that way, because he's a white guy.
Yeah. Well, being honest, right? I mean, this is a change from 20 plus years of established, actors and whatnot. I mean, again, it's not right or wrong. We're just reporting what's there.
I mean, technically, I mean, if you want to just like break the fourth wall and go into like back in the day, like to MK1, Carlos Pesina that played Raiden was like, I mean, dude was like Hispanic. So, I mean, if you want to break the fourth wall and go like technical, I mean, Raiden is actually like Hispanic.
And they took that away from our people.
Because it was the same dude.
That's the voice actor.
Carlos Pesina. He was like the most mocap actor and the voice actor for it, because him and his brother Daniel Pesina, they did Raiden, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, like about 3 or 4 of the other ones too. But yeah, they were. I mean, that's how it was. So I mean, that's where technically the characters originated, and then obviously they wrote the backstories and the bios for them and whatnot. So it all comes down to interpretation. But I mean, if you go the technical side of it, I mean, that's, if you start back from MK1, that's the very technical side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at pictures from MK1. He looks white to me.
Yeah. I mean, they might have been mixed Hispanic, and they were Hispanic, dude. Daniel and Carlos.
Well, I'm just talking about like the character design. I'm not the motion cap actor. I mean, here's a literal statue. He's white. So I just disagree with you on that one. But yeah, I mean,
just means we gotta play some Mortal Kombat and fisticuffs this issue, aren't we?
Yeah.
You guys don't want none of that, man. If we ever did if we ever did a STAP MK tournament, I'm gonna lay the smack down. Sorry to say.
You know what? If unless the fatality looks great, I'm gonna be disappointed. I expect nothing less.
I mean,
I'm fighting game. So
I mean, I'm bringing Scorpion to the table. That's all it needs to be said.
Light us up on fire. Nice.
I'm absolutely horrible at fighting games. I think like with fighting games, you have to practice because it's all muscle memory with like the combos and stuff.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
with the button combinations.
Yeah, honestly, like I remember the greatest. See, to me, the greatest like thing about Mortal Kombat was back in the good old stand-up arcade cabinets, man. When it went to console, it just, to me, it robbed the soul of Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, my memory of Mortal Kombat will always be the good old stand-up machine in the arcade.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What I remember too.
Oh my god, that
Mortal Kombat and Miss Pac-Man.
That actually reminds me. I was at Wally World a couple weeks ago picking something up. I ended up spending 2 hours playing the dang Mortal Kombat arcade thing they had set up there. Like I dropped my groceries, like whatever. I'm gonna sit here and people are looking at me, but I don't care. And you're right. There's a lot of muscle memory because I remember all the Sub-Zero stuff moves.
Bro, MK1, MK2, MK3 were like the bomb, dude. And then
Quarter Eater,
I guess Ultimate MK3 or MK4 or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they were good, but yeah, like the stand-up ones, amazing.
Yeah, millions of pounds of quarters.
Oh, dude.
Wasted there, right?
Dude, oh man, those were the days, bro. And because I was good, like when MK2 came out, man, I was good with Katana and Scorpion. Like Katana, I could do the entire thing where I could literally corner blast a person. They wouldn't be able to get out of the corner.
The fighting game I remember the most was freaking Street Fighter, and I played at like the Boys and Girls Club. And I played with the sumo wrestler guy, man.
Honda?
Yeah, Honda, and he had I used like he could like extend his arms or whatever, so you could like keep people away. And then when people started using like a ranged attack against you, you would use his like spear move, and like I was like unstoppable.
You guys are such party poopers. You're the corner guys. Okay. Now I know when we do our Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter War, I know what to expect from you cheaters. But that's fine. Quarters are not going to be at stake, thank God.
Oh, Jetty, I played Mortal Kombat on the Genesis. It was just the music was cooler on the console games, but the arcade had the better gameplay for sure.
It's the joysticks that did it for me. It made it so much easier to kind of do the proper combination of moves versus the hand pads that you got with Super Nintendo.
All right, exactly.
And you can kind of cheat with it if you like rub it the right way, but it didn't replace the way the joystick was able to move around.
Yeah, I mean, there was a certain elegance and art to being good at the old arcade machines, man. And it wasn't just Mortal Kombat. It was just with games in the arcade in general, man. I mean, like it felt like you earned something when you put them initials in there after you got a really high score. I mean, it meant something.
I mean, even when I go into like a lot of like sports bars and stuff will have arcades still there, and you'll just be like, oh, who's got the high score? Can I get there? You still have that like, oh, I gotta see if I can get that high score.
Yeah, dude. The arcades had such a unique experience that, I mean, I love what gaming's evolved into. I love gaming on my PC and everything else, but man, it'll never come close to having the just that special attachment that the arcade did when we were kids.
No, I agree, but that's a nostalgia too. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's just kind of hard to be able to see that, you know what I mean, to replicate that now.
Yeah. Well, George, kids aren't social either. They don't go out as much.
So my final impression of Swamp Thing. I will be honest. I still have the last episode to go. Kind of since I got off track with Gary. Wasn't on that like regimented schedule of watching it. I did just finish watching the 9th episode, and I thought the 8th episode was absolutely a bore and was extremely boring and was a complete filler episode and honestly probably could have been axed. But the 9th episode is really, really good, and the Blue Devil like just going crazy was really cool, and it kind of like kept that horror element that the opening episodes really had, and like you were kind of like freaked out about like him, and it wasn't just like they adding in like him kind of being a slasher, but it was also like body transformation horror as well, and then he doesn't even realize what he did when he woke up. I just thought that scene was like really, really cool. And then I kind of liked how the Phantom Stranger came in, and like I liked everything about the Blue Devil in that episode. And then really kind of seeing Woodrew's transformation too. Oh yeah, Blue Devil shows up in episode 9 of Swamp Thing Mega Jetty. It's freaking awesome. Like it's really, really cool. The costume looks amazing, and they do some pretty cool special effects with him. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, he shows up in episode 9, and it's really, really good. But yeah, I also liked Woodrew. He kind of goes through a transformation in episode 9 too, and I thought like you could see just how he just became so obsessed. He lost focus on kind of why he was being obsessed. So his whole purpose of his obsession was to try and save his wife, but he forgot about her in the end. He like let his obsession take over, and he forgot about her as a human being. And I thought that was a really good close to that arc, or like kind of almost close to that arc. And I'm sure they'll wrap it up in the next one, but you kind of like felt crushed by Woodrew's reaction at the same time. You're kind of just like, dude, you did this to yourself. Like you made that mistake. So I thought that was like really, really good. And then the Swamp Thing reveal, like, which we kind of knew was coming if reading the comics. I thought they did that really well too. My wife was watched with me, and she was kind of stunned by that. And I just thought the reaction from both Crystal Reed and Mears, I can't remember his first name, the guy who's in the Swamp Thing suit, like that was just, it was just like he was just kind of just utterly devastated and was like just like apologizing to Crystal Reed for kind of like thinking that he like led her on, and just it was just, that episode was really, really good. That was probably one of the better episodes of the show, and it's going to be hard for them to top that in the last episode. But yeah, episode 9 was really, really good. Mark, I hope that gives you, as obviously not as in depth as I want to be with Gary, but yeah, it gives you a little bit of kind of like what my reaction was. Yeah, dude, Blue Devil is really, really cool. Ian Ziering plays him in Swamp Thing. He does a really cool job. I mean, I thought it like I really liked what they did with Blue Devil in episode 9. It was really cool. I don't know. Have you guys watched Swamp Thing? I don't know.
I have not seen it yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's some of the better television I've watched. I mean, like I said, episode 8 was a snoozer, and I think episode 6 or 7 was that way. I think it was 6 was that way too. But those were the only 2 episodes. There's 10 episodes. Those were the only 2 that weren't that I just kind of were a little bit bored by, and they could have probably drastically cut out a lot of that stuff.
See, the thing that sucks for me is I'm the only thing remotely resembling a streaming service that I have is Amazon Prime Video. That's it.
Well, I mean, Amazon's going to be huge. They got The Boys. They're going to have Wheel of Time. They're going to have Lord of the Rings.
Expanse.
Yeah, it's got the Expanse now. I mean, Amazon's really going hardcore. They signed a deal with the kind of the person who was doing who built up AMC's TV shows with like Walking Dead and kind of copying HBO's model, but for cable, creating more like mature adult series shows. And I mean, the properties they have should be good, but I mean, with the Wheel of Time casting, I mean, kind of already skeptical of what's going to happen there. But hopefully the Lord of the Rings show will be pretty good. But yeah, The Boys is pretty good. My wife likes The Marvelous Miss Maisel as a comedy. I watched some episodes with her. It's kind of funny.
See, the only thing I've majorly watched on Amazon Prime Video so far has been The Expanse, which I love.
Oh, yeah, Expanse is super good, dude.
The Expanse is freaking amazing. And, I can't wait for the next season for that.
Yeah, that's one of those shows where you're just like, what? Where's my next episode? Where is it?
Seriously, dude, oh God, when I'm watching that show, I binged the whole thing, and like I literally spent like 3 days binging the entire thing from season 1 to season 3.
It took me like a couple episodes to get into The Expanse, but like once I got like, I don't know, maybe like episode 3, I was hooked and I couldn't stop.
That's the exact same what happened with me, dude.
Because I tried to watch the first episode. I think it took me like two or three times to watch to get through the first episode. But like once I got to that episode 3, man, I was like, I binged it. It was just that good. It was so good. And the episode and like that finale, it looks like they're gonna go to. It definitely looks like it's gonna have a much more Star Trek vibe, with like exploring all of those portals and stuff.
Yeah, I'm really digging the concept.
Holy crap, everyone is here. Hey Dan, hey Don, how's it going? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, I know, man. Staff party up in here.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, real quick, I've been meaning to ask you because I wanted to ask you, John and George, because I'm sure that at some point in time you guys have noticed. Well, I don't know if you watch anything on USA Network at all. I mean, I watch Monday Night Raw, so I see the commercials on there. But apparently, USA is coming up with a series based in, the Bourne universe, which you guys know all the Bourne movies. I'm sure you see the Bourne movies. So they're coming out with a series about Treadstone.
Okay.
So what are your guys' thoughts on the Treadstone thing? I think it could be pretty cool.
I think that gets back to like our reboot debate that we were talking about.
Treadstone's more like a spinoff, though.
Well, yeah, a spinoff reboot. I mean, I think, yeah. I mean, it's still in that Bourne universe. While you guys are all on the West Coast, it's like 11 o'clock here.
It's 11 here almost.
Yeah. I like the first 3 Bourne movies a lot. I think they're really, really good. I think that first Bourne movie has one of the best car chase scenes, like ever. That car chase scene when that Mini Cooper or whatever he's driving is really, really good. But I think there's like potential there. I mean, it's on USA, so I mean, I mean, I think spy stuff is cool. I always like intrigue and those kind of stories, because intrigue can lead to like noir, like where they're like fighting in the shadows and stuff like that. So yeah, I like the concept and the idea. It all depends on how well they execute it.
I always liked the idea of the Treadstone program. I thought that was like really neat, like the backdrop of it. But
yeah,
well,
different, like they have all the different assassins and stuff. Yeah,
it depends who they get to play the agents, or how they present the agents. For me,
yeah, it depends on who their lead is. Is the lead gonna be like a Bourne type, or is it gonna be like a guy in an office kind of running things? Like,
well, it depends on how much risk they want to take, right? I mean, that was talking about before. Are they willing to expand out and do that risk, or they're going to just go with the safe bet and stay as close to the original material as possible in regards to the characters and not really going too far into that universe?
I honestly have no idea about the show, but if they do like a like, I'm just imagining in my head, if they have like multiple different characters that you follow, you follow each of the assassins and they have like their own stories, that could be cool. You could even play it off as kind of like a Star Trek episodic type thing instead of like a narrative. And you could even do a narrative where they it's all tied together eventually in the end.
See, if they did it I guess sort of like an anthology way where it was different episodes for different agents, that would be like a cool concept, like you just said.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. I don't understand, and I actually am kind of glad we're starting to see it come back, these like anthology series. Netflix has that, I don't even know what it's called, but I know people I know it's kind of popular. I've only watched that one episode with Ron Howard's daughter, where she's got the social score and she basically gets like ruined. And then the CBS obviously brought back Twilight Zone, and I think there's someone else who does an anthology show now. I actually think that stuff making a comeback is actually, I think that's something that we as like TV watchers would be interested in seeing more, kind of like episodic or anthology type episodes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Don. If they do the shaky cam and Treadstone, I ain't gonna be able to watch it.
Well, I like Mark's point a lot. JJ doing lens flare, heavy green lantern.
Yeah,
life would be complete. I'd be ready to go to Mars with Elon Musk. To be honest with you, if that were to happen.
Kevin Smith isn't doing He-Man, Don. He's doing Tila. Didn't you read the description? He-Man is a support character. I haven't watched any of the Twilight Zone. It's not good. I thought, I haven't heard it. I haven't really.
Depends if you're a fan of like the old Ron Sterling type with Twilight Zone. To me, it really reminds me of the Forrest Whitaker Twilight Zone from UPN back in the early 2000s. I wasn't really thrilled with it at all.
Okay. Yeah, did you not read the He-Man description? This is what they had on the let me pull it up. This is what they had on the at PowerCon. It was PowerCon, I think, right? Oh, I don't even. It's not even. Oh, because I didn't use He-Man in the title. I probably just used Masters of the Universe. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I didn't even use. Yeah, because He-Man's not even in the title of the show. It's called Masters of the Universe Revelation, and this is the blurb from the PowerCon. But after a ferocious final battle, forever. Hold on. After a ferocious final battle, forever fractures Eternia. It's up to Teela to solve the mystery of the missing sword of power in a race against time to prevent the end of the universe. Her journey will uncover the secrets of a gray skull. I probably translated that wrong. Yeah, uncover the secrets of Gray Skull at last. This is the epic He-Man and the Masters of the Universe saga fans have waited 35 years to see. It's Teal searching for the Sword of Power. There's no mention of He-Man.
Oh, God.
He's going to be there singing Cher songs.
Hey, can we put a rainbow over Castle Grayskull and just take the R out and call it Castle Gay Skull?
I mean, that's what they're saying. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not too optimistic about it, Don.
No, I'm not optimistic about that one bit.
Shiro's to give us any sort of hints that's on Netflix right now. I'm not very optimistic about He-Man either, or Masters, whatever it's called. I just see that. I'm like, oh, okay, another one of you. Great.
At this point, I would take the one director in adult films that always does the porn parodies of major franchises. I would take his version of He-Man over what this one's going to be.
He'd probably be more competent in the actual source material. That's the sad part.
Probably would, dude.
It is interesting that they announced this animated show and they're developing the Masters of the Universe live action film with that Noah Centineo guy too.
Yeah, if there's no Dolph Lundgren on it, I don't want to see it.
Oh,
exactly.
Speaking of Dolph Lundgren, that freaking show that they announced with Sylvester Stallone that Disney didn't even look at or ABC didn't look at, that looks really cool.
Yeah,
Stallone producing and Lundgren is this badass spy. That looked cool.
Well, it's too masculine. They're not going to do anything like that. I mean, you're asking for way too much now. Unless they're broken men who are terrible human beings, they're not going to put them in.
Well, yeah, I don't know. 24 was one of the most popular shows.
They hate money now.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I have the Balboa Productions stuff looks pretty awesome, and that I haven't watched that new. I saw that there was a new. What was it? Oh my gosh! I'm told there's a new. Oh my gosh! Why can't I think of his name? I keep thinking Rocky, and I know it's not Rocky. It's
Rambo.
Rambo, yeah.
Dude,
there's a new Rambo trailer. I haven't seen it yet, but the first one looks freaking awesome.
That trailer is dope. I mean,
did you watch the new one?
Yeah, that Rambo movie is gonna be the bomb, dude.
I'd keep seeing Rambo movies, even if they keep up with the quality of the franchise. I'd keep watching Rambo movies all the way up to him beating them up with walkers. Okay,
bro, George, did you watch the cartoon back in the day?
The Rambo cartoon.
There was a Rambo cartoon, dude. I'm serious.
It was bad, but it was good bad.
It was so bad.
Mark, they're actually using, from what I understand, they're using the animation team that did Castlevania. So that does give me a little hope because that Castlevania show is freaking awesome on Netflix.
That's a good point there.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Mark. I don't think it's the same, and that's definitely not the same animation team that does She-Ra. The She-Ra is like CalArt style, where the Castlevania is definitely more stylized Japanese animation.
Oh, don't give me hope now. I mean, Dude,
that Castlevania show is really good.
Oh, it is. But normally Cal Arts is my signal not to watch a TV show.
Well, I don't think they're doing that with He-Man. Dude, I remember they got that. Whatever happened to that Thundercats Roar show? Did that get? Did they cancel that after people just like crapped on it?
Yeah, it got spayed and neutered.
I wanted, I remember when they've had like 2 or 3 like newer animated Voltron shows, and I wanted them to be good, but man, the Voltron, nothing has come close to like sort of like bringing for like resonating the same way that the old school animation in Voltron did. And I think it's because they abandoned that animation style.
Oh, I don't like the new Voltron animation. I don't like it. I couldn't get into that show on Netflix.
Yeah.
People were digging it though. I mean, they did like seven seasons.
I mean, I didn't mind like the newest one so much. I didn't even mind, the like quote unquote woke casting that they did with it. I just oh god, man. I really didn't like the animation was the thing that bothered me.
The thing about like the cartoons and whatnot, animated series, the animation's super critical for
it is.
Right? I mean, because if the animation just isn't there, it's just not going to work out so well, and it's not going to capture your eyes because unlike, well, for me at least, unlike TV shows and whatnot, the animation really is part of what catches your eyes because you don't have the identity that you see in a live action. So when you mess that up, you're kind of in a sore spot.
I brought this up with my wife the other day. We were on DC Universe, and I wanted to check out the Batman Hush, and I got 20 minutes into it, and I was just like, "Holy crap! This animation style is horrible." And I went and showed her because they have Batman the animated series, and they got Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and they got all the older animated shows on there. I went and showed her those, and she was like, "Yeah, this animation style is way better." I was just like, wow, like I just can't believe like even the Young Justice has better animation than that Batman Hush film. I didn't even like I also don't like the designs of those characters either. I think Batman's design in Hush looks horrible, and so does Catwoman. Yeah, Dan, it was like I got 20 minutes. It is so horrible. Catwoman has a square face. My wife was like, she looks like a man.
Hey, you're stereotyping there. You better be careful before the thought police get you.
Yeah. I mean, dude, yeah, the X-Men animated series in the 90s, freaking awesome.
God, you cannot replicate that now today because people be like, they're booty or this or that. Oh my God. But that was such a great show. The animation was just spot on.
Right. That was an awesome show, man.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, did you finish Hush, Dan? Like, I couldn't get through it. I mean, it was just, I just couldn't get through it. Yeah, the original Teen Titans Mega Jetty animation is really good. Storylines are really awesome too. But yeah, I mean the Young Justice is pretty. It's the animation is pretty good. The storyline is okay. I mean, they're having all of the characters replace the Justice League in season 3. I'm not all the way through it, but it's not as good as like Justice League Unlimited or regular. Yeah. See, okay, you basically got to where I got then, Dan. Yeah. Was Wildcats the one with with where they're in the like F-15s or the F-16s, and they're the cats. Am I remembering? Is that something else? No, what? Yeah, what? Yeah, no, that's Jim Lee's book. Okay, what was the animated show with the cats and the F-15s?
Thundercats? Did you ever say that?
What did you say?
Thundercats, right?
No, Thundercats were. It's like that's like Lion-O and.
Are you talking? Was it like that one with like an aircraft squadron?
Yeah, but they were cats. They were like cats.
SWAT
Right.
cats. That was SWAT cats.
SWAT cats. Yep, that's it. SWAT cats.
Oh my god, I remember that show. That was so
SWAT
freaking
cats.
awesome.
Yeah, Wildcats is Image Comics. Yeah, I'm thinking SWAT cats.
You're going straight down memory lane. Holy crap.
Dude, do you guys remember the Street Sharks, the
Yeah.
Turtles ripoff?
That was such a great show too. It was not really good at all, but it was so good.
Oh, I watched it. I loved it as a kid. Couldn't get enough. Dude, there were so many good, like, oh man, all those animated shows in the 80s and 90s. So good. Oh, speaking of, we did a story today. There's a fan group that's trying to do a continuation of the 90s Sonic the Hedgehog. I thought it was really cool. They already have like a teaser cut for it and everything. They're trying to like raise some funds on their Patreon to get it going. And they said they've got like a script for the entire for an entire third season already written out, and they're getting the composer from the original show back on. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Whoever owns the Sonic IP won't treat them the way CBS has been treating the Star Trek fan films.
No, I mean, we'll see what happens. They probably will shut them down just because they got that movie coming out. But who knows? I mean, Disney's just kind of like cracked down on everything. Did you see that story about the 501st? Because people were going crazy because they're afraid that Disney's going to shut them down over an artist creating a parody logo of their logo.
Well, no, you know what that was, right?
So crazy.
They got into it with the Fandom Menace people.
Well, right. The guy made a logo parodying the 501st logo with he made a Phantom Menace logo parodying the 501st, and this person went just ballistic, and she was one of her explanations for going ballistic was that she was afraid Disney was going to like shut them down because of the parody logo and it being like negative.
Jeremy roasted the hell out of her.
Oh yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, Don, they delayed the film because they're reworking Sonic the Hedgehog's total design because the fans told them it looked absolutely horrible, which it did.
And then the Cats trailer came out and everyone was like, wow, we thought the floor was not this low.
I mean, I don't understand. They have like really awesome Sonic designs already in the games and the recent shows. So I don't know. I don't understand what they were going for. Like, that was like weird, man. Sonic was just weird. It's like creepy weird. But hey, they actually listened and were like, we're redesigning him. And I thought they were just crazy because they were just like, we're going to redesign and see if we can get the movie at the same launch date. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way they're going to be able to do that. They're going to have to delay. That's definitely going to have to delay that film.
A lot of editing they're going to have to do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, Mega Jetty, did you see what happened when they released that first trailer for Sonic? I mean, no one was going to show up to that movie. Like, people were like just.
They were roasting that for like a week straight. It was bad.
Yeah. So Don, are you excited for D23? What are they lining up for? Like, what do they get if they get in there like first? Is there like a exclusive or something? I mean, I guess it's like people camping out for like Black Friday sales. Yeah, no. So yeah, Mega Jetty, we got a story up on Bounding about it. I mean, these people, like, I think the Sonic the Hedgehog might have spawned, like, it brought to light my favorite kind of meme, and it's from The Godfather, and it's like it's Marlon Brando's Godfather, and he's like, look at how they massacred my boy. It's just like, that meme is like the best because it can be used for basically anything, especially when it comes to entertainment, because properties are always getting massacred. Yeah, here, let me find it. Here we go. Yeah, our headline was fans completely roast Sonic the Hedgehog trailer. One of the quotes was "burn it with fire." I mean, they just like obliterate. I mean, people just obliterated it. Here, Mega Jetty. Here's the link. I don't know if that'll work. If you can be able to click it, probably not. Oh, are you talking about the benefactor being Norman Osborn? Don, is that what you're talking about? Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw Cosmic Book News already like said the Norman Osborn rumor is basically dead now because it's out, because Spider-Man's out. I mean, obviously Norman Osborn could still be in like a third Spider-Man film done by Sony with Tom Holland, but
because it's out of the MCU doesn't mean that it's out. I mean, as we mentioned earlier in the beginning of our stream, Sony owns all of those characters. Well, yeah, the rights to those characters currently, the movie rights, right? So they can still move forward with Norman without the MCU.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that earlier. I mean, they definitely can. I mean, they've got Green Goblin, they've got Doc Ock, they've got obviously they have Mysterio, they've got Vulture, they've got I assume they still have those guys. Kraven the Hunter. The only one we think they don't have is Kingpin, because he was in the Netflix Marvel, and all reports say that those characters that were in Netflix shows are like on a 2-year hiatus, like Daredevil.
Yeah. And what's funny, that the 2 years is almost halfway up.
Disney can't use Norman.
Yeah,
you're right. Disney can't use Osborn. But do they really need Norman Osborn? They got Doctor Doom now. I mean, come on.
Oh, they have Doctor Doom?
Yeah, they got Doctor Doom with Fox and Fantastic Four and Galactus and Silver Surfer.
And they've done I would like to see how they could actually bring Doctor Doom into a movie without screwing that up. He's a really interesting character. I think he's one of the more interesting Marvel villains out there.
I think the Netflix stuff stays on Netflix. I don't think they can take it to Disney Plus. I think they can take those characters eventually to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Once that reported 2-year window is over.
Yeah, that the wait period I think is 2 years, and I don't know if they can actually transfer the shows, but definitely the characters can go over.
Yeah, that's just what the actress who played Foggy's love interest, the lawyer, she was the one who said it was like a 2-year deal, and that's kind of what everyone's been going off of, or like a 2-year wait period, I think.
Yeah, but again, that 2-year wait period's almost done. Well, not almost done; it's about halfway done by
Yeah,
now.
I think it's halfway over. Yeah, I mean, so yeah,
Time
they'll
flies.
they'll either be on Disney Plus. They'll probably be introduced through Disney Plus. I mean, I still don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me why they just wouldn't go like gung ho X-Men. Those are their top. That's their like S tier property. The X-Men.
Well, it depends on how they want to introduce
Yeah, I
it,
think.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I still think you like the. I mean, I guess they like have this idea that they need to like wait till people forget about Dark Phoenix or something. But I mean, no one really went and saw it, so I don't think there's not many people who need to forget it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's already forgotten, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't go see it. Yeah, Dan, the chick from True Blood, she was Foggy's girlfriend, and like the lawyer worked at that big law firm. I think she was in True Blood too.
She was.
Yes, Mutant Cash. I'm with you, Don.
You know, Mega Jetty, I agree with you. I love the animated X-Men and Spider-Man TV shows and the other Marvel properties that were on Fox back in the day.
Saturday morning.
Those were good times.
Saturday morning was awesome back in the day.
Yep. Had to make sure my sister did not get to the TV before me.
Now, the question is, can they actually replicate that with live action TV on movies? I don't know. I doubt it.
That's actually something that I don't understand why these like studios aren't trying to do more of these like cartoons, because I honestly think that's where a lot of like the current fan base is kind of from. They all like they remember these cartoons, they remember these characters that they loved in the cartoons. They might not remember like the super specific details of the animated shows. But I mean, they remember like watching them and enjoying them and taking pleasure in them. And I think that's really why we're seeing this comic book genre like dominate the movies now. And I know you have your druthers with Kurtzman at CBS, but I think he is right to try and make animated Star Trek shows to like create a new audience there for Star Trek in the future. I think, I mean, DC, I guess they have like the kind of like the YouTube stuff, and they have that like Justice League Go or whatever it is. But like, does Marvel? I mean, Marvel has like it's like the Miss Marvel and all the female characters or whatever, Marvel Rising, I guess. But those are just like, it's like a movie. It's not like a series. And I think these guys they're missing out on. There's like huge missed opportunity not to keep introducing these characters to younger audiences for them to embrace.
Speaking on that subject, John, that's essentially what they did with Invader Zim on Netflix, isn't it? They knew that their audience grew up, the people who watched that show, and that's why it wasn't on Nickelodeon. They put it on Netflix and Rocko's Modern Life as well. They knew that the people who watched the show in the 90s are not going to be watching Nickelodeon today. They're going to be watching Netflix, and that's why it's on those platforms right now.
Yeah, that was the explanation that they gave for putting that Rocko's Modern Life on Netflix. I think it also has something to do with the story, but that's just me.
Well, of course, but you see Invader Zim, you see Rocko, and I know there's another show. I can't remember. It's off the top of my head, but
yeah, there's another.
Yeah, and
I know
a lot
what
of
you're talking
are going to the streaming service because they're supposedly trying to follow their audience as they get older. And like I said, I think Marvel could definitely do that in the animated world and follow their audience from the 90s all the way up to now.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, they're doing that already in live action. I think they can do. I mean, Marvel obviously can do that in animated too. But I think what they need to do is they should be targeting what they did for us in the 80s and 90s, is we were all watching those cartoons. I'm not seeing kids watching those cartoons today. I mean, that Bloomberg report was saying kids aren't interested in Star Wars at all, which that doesn't surprise me. And they just canceled that Star Wars Resistance show after 2 seasons. So yeah, I mean, all these people are wearing like Black Panther Halloween costumes, Captain America. I mean, there should be like an animated Black Panther series. Like, that could be really cool. Like,
really bridge the gap with a lot of the franchises too, the IP
Yeah.
that you can do in the movies right now, because as a lot of folks know, Black Panther in the comics was married to Storm, right? And that'd be, you can connect the current, characters that are known in the movies with X-Men and other characters that you can't really do well in the movie theaters because of the separation until recently.
dude, they could do like a really cool like Secret Avengers animated show where like Cap is like going on missions like every episode to like fight like bad dudes, and you could even model it after kind of like Justice League Unlimited, where you get different Avengers doing like different missions, so you're showcasing like lots of different characters, and you're introducing like pretty much different, like from a marketing perspective, you're like introducing different brands and properties.
Cheap way of testing interest in different characters, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah, I mean,
if you can get any traction,
that would be good though.
Specific character or not, and see if it works. It works. If it doesn't, they move on from there. But for some reason, they seem to be hesitant to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like just, Stargirl, I was first introduced to her in that Justice League Unlimited series, and now she's getting a live action TV show. I mean, I thought she was really cool in Justice League Unlimited when they go to the core. There's this whole episode where they go to the core of the Earth, and they're fighting all these people there in the like dinosaurs and all this kind of stuff, and that was just like a really cool episode. I love that. Yeah, I think IDW is doing that comic, Mega Jetty, the Cobra Kai. Pretty sure. I don't know. Halle Berry. I think if they gave Halle Berry a bigger role, I think she could have done well in that role. I just don't. They just didn't seem to like have like she just kind of was a side character, and they just pushed Storm to the side. I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought she like what she had. She did well. With I thought like that fight with the Toad was awesome. I was about to call him Frog. It's Toad.
Oh God, man, that Toad fight was epic.
Yeah. And I thought that was like some. Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, Dan. Yeah, she's definitely too old now. I'm just saying. I thought she did a good job with what she had. I don't know who they could get to do her now. Maybe that what's the girl's name? Who's what was her name in Game of Thrones? The
one
Khaleesi's. What's her name?
Oh man, I forgot. I know who you're talking about. The one who
Khaleesi's aide or whatever. She could. I mean, I could see her doing that. She could be pretty solid.
Honestly, I'm with Mark. I think Leslie Jones would be the perfect Storm.
Yeah, Melisandre. That's it. The chick who plays Melisandre. She might be a good Storm.
I'm still going to get a petition going. I want to see Leslie Jones become Storm. Let's do it, guys. We can make it work. For franchises, ask Ghostbusters.
Was she? Yeah, dude. Cyclops is like. I think Philip and Don are our resident X-Men experts, and Philip just did a story about how like Cyclops was just basically like a wasted character in and has been in all of the X-Men films. He's like one of the most important X-Men characters in the comics, and he's just thrown away. He's been thrown away in all the films.
Well, and he's supposed to be more of a leader than anything else. That's what kills me. And he ends up being like a side character, if that, half the time.
Oh, Lashana Lynch says she wants to do Storm. I don't know if that'll work if they're doing in universe. She's already Maria Rambeau. Mark. I don't know. I mean, who else could be Storm? I'm trying to like.
Rihanna.
No, she wants to be Poison Ivy. Yeah, this is what Afropunk's got a website here. They've got Laverne Cox on here. Angelica Ross, Lupita Nyong'o, she's already out. She's in Black Panther. Janelle Monáe.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that could work. I like that idea.
Have you guys seen Kat Graham from the Vampire Diaries?
Kat Graham.
I'll link it.
Oh, is she the witch? Yeah. She could be solid as Storm. Yeah, she plays the witch, right? Yeah, she plays Bonnie Bennett. Yeah, she could be good. I mean, Storm is kind of a witch, weather witch, right?
Well, I mean, and it depends on what medium, but it's like there's a lot of shamanistic tendencies to her character, depending on what comic story you're looking at. So you can kind of connect the two.
Yeah, no, Kat Graham would be really good as Storm. I agree with that.
It just depends on like what Storm are you looking for. Are you looking for an adult Storm? Or are you looking for a younger Storm? Because it really,
I think we're gonna have to get Philip on this. I'm gonna have to. Sounds like a story idea.
So too. I mean, there's a lot of great actresses out there that can probably fit the bill. And the best part, a lot of them are not super well known, so they could turn into a real breakout role.
I really want to see. I just want to see like Magic and Colossus. Yeah. I want to see the mutant family.
Well, you'll get to see Magic in New Mutants. It's supposed to next year, I think, is when it hits theaters. But there's a report that Disney thinks it's going to suck. So who knows? I don't know. I thought the trailer looked cool. I like the horror vibe. I mean, they're trapped in like an asylum. It's kind of like they're doing a DC movie before DC can do it.
True.
I mean, the premise sounds cool. But I mean, the last thing I saw was a report that Disney thought it was going to suck, but they have it scheduled for a release date. They announced that when they announced the Star Wars dates and the Marvel dates. Yeah, I played it a little bit. I own it. I didn't finish it. Yeah, I played the Spider-Man game. Apparently, it's the most successful superhero game now, I guess, for most units sold. All
right.
On Marvel.com.
Yeah, right now that Spider-Man game is basically kicking everything's ass.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a Sony exclusive too. We'll see how. I mean, I think Final Fantasy VII is gonna be huge.
Got the remake for 8 coming out next month.
Oh, the Final Fantasy VII remaster! Like they said, they're adding a whole new game basically. So, on top of it, see if that's true. But no, I mean, from what I played with the Spider-Man game, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It took me a little bit to kind of figure out that you weren't supposed to. like I was treating it like the Arkham games, like I was in the Batman in the combat, instead of like being Spider-Man. So it took me a little bit to figure that out, but I mean, yeah, it's pretty fun. But I just got distracted with other things. Like right now, I'm playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that's been taking up a lot of my attention.
I had to like reconnect real quick.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, the MJ as a reporter thing's kind of weird. Seems like they were kind of like riffing off of Lois Lane a little bit too much there. I mean, they're trying to make her like to me, they're just trying to make her an actress is seen as like a weak character, and probably just trying to make her have like a more career focus, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's a reporter. She's not. I mean, they tied it into the story pretty well. I mean, when they're in that one museum or whatever it is, where you gotta like when you first run into the whatever those like ninja guys are called. Can't remember.
Was that the Hand?
No, they weren't the Hand. It was someone else. They were like, not in the game. She's a reporter in the game. I don't remember what they were called. They used some kind of like they're like using some kind of magic. No, not the Foot either.
The Foot Clan. That's some Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Heroes in a Half Shell.
Got that turtle power.
No.
I don't know. They were some kind of like they used some kind of like magic abilities. I thought inner demons is what Marvel.com says. So that might like be what it was, who they were. Yeah, here's this guy. They had this like the Inner Demons gang. That's what they're called. Because they wore these like I don't know if they're Japanese or Chinese or Korean, but they wore these like Asian masks. They're definitely not Italian Carnivale masks. Hey, look here. Do you know what these masks are, Drew? I'll send you this picture. Here. Or Jorge, do you know what they are? I have no idea what this mask is. It looks like it could be Chinese or Japanese to me. I don't know. All right, well, I know it's getting late here. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Japanese mask.
It's a Japanese mask? Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you might know.
I say there.
All right, well, I don't have anything else, any like big topics to talk about. I know it's closing in on midnight here, East Coast. I know you West Coasters and Mountain Time people are still fine, but I got to get up in the morning.
No, I'm with you as well, man. I get up like at 5 in the morning my time every day. get ready for work. So I get it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We usually do this every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. I know the past couple weeks we have not done it. That was because I was searching for an alternative to Google Hangouts.
Yeah, we were trying to figure all this out again.
Yeah, we found one with StreamYard. It seemed to work pretty well. I actually like it better than Hangouts because I can see the chat in one window and not have to have the YouTube channel open as well.
Yeah, this is all right. I dig this.
Yeah, I like this a lot better.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll do this every Wednesdays at 9, and maybe if there's some breaking news, we might just go live every now and then. We'll see. But yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us. My name's John Trent, and my co-hosts are Jorge Arenas and Drew Taylor. And we are Bounding into Comics.
Good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night, guys.